reconvened from closed session, and I would like to make the following disclosure. By a 5-0 vote, the City Council authorized and directed the City Attorney's Office to defend the case of Alford versus Elk Grove Unified School District and all as identified by the case number on the City Council meeting agenda. With that, we will adjourn the special meeting at 6:17 p.m. And at this time, I would like to call to order the Parking Authority of the City of Elk Grove regular meeting. Today is Wednesday, July 24th, 2024. It is 6:17 p.m. And I'll turn it over to the city clerk.
And to kick this off, the service on the Parking Authority of the City of Elk Grove is by the members of the City Council. There's no additional stipend or compensation that's paid to any of the members on the Parking Authority. With that, I will look up and just do a visual roll call that all members of the Parking Authority are present, and we can move into Section 2, our public comment for the Parking Authority. For the sake of our viewing audience and our audience here, procedural item, we'll be moving through this rather quickly.
All right, thank you. At this time, I'll open up public comment opportunity. I do not have anyone signed up to speak. I'll close public comment opportunity. And I'll look for the annual update on the Parking Authority presentation. And there's nothing to report and there's no activity. So that was very easy.
Makes it
So at
pretty
this
easy.
time, so we don't need to have public comment opportunity because there was nothing presented. As such, we will adjourn the Parking Authority regular meeting at 6:19 p.m. That was the shortest meeting I think we've ever had. And now turn it over to the Elk Grove regular City Council meeting. Today's Wednesday, July 24th, 2024, and it is 6:19 p.m. Clerk.
Thank you, Mayor. Let me see what I've got here. This meeting of the Elk Grove City Council will be cablecast on Metro Cable 14, the local government affairs channel on the Comcast and AT&T Uverse cable systems. This meeting is closed caption will be webcast at metro14live.seccounty.gov. Tonight's meeting replays will be on Friday, July 26th at 1 p.m. and Monday, July 29th at 1 p.m. as well on Channel 14. Previous meetings can be viewed online at 3ws.elkgrovecity.org or youtube.com/metrocable14. For members of the participating audience who may have personal electronic devices, please place them on silent mode during the meeting or on mute when you are not speaking. The Elk Grove City Council welcomes, appreciates, and encourages participation in the City Council meeting. City Council requests that you limit your presentation to 3 minutes per person so that all present will have time to participate. City Council reserves the right to reasonably limit the total time for public comment on any particular notice agenda item as it may deem necessary. Pursuant to Resolution Number 2010-24, no individual speaker concerning public comment may address the City Council for more than 3 minutes. If you wish to address the council during the meeting, please complete a blue speaker card, which can be found at the back of the chamber, and provide it to Assistant City Clerk Brenda Haggard prior to consideration of the agenda item. With that, Mayor, I will move into the call to order and roll call, starting that roll call off with Councilmember Robles.
Present.
Councilmember Spies.
Present.
Councilmember Suen.
Here.
Vice Mayor Brewer.
Here.
And Mayor Singh Allen.
Here.
All are present. We can proceed.
Thank you. Next up is our land acknowledgement. And would the Vice Mayor please read the land acknowledgement?
Yes, Mayor. We honor, respect, and acknowledge Elk Grove's first inhabitants, the Plains Miwok, who lived as sovereign caretakers of this land and these waterways since time immemorial. We commemorate and advocate for their descendants, the Wilton Rancheria tribe, the only federally recognized tribe in Sacramento County, who endure because of the bravery, resiliency, and determination of their ancestors, tribal members, and leaders.
All right, thank you for that. And next up is our Pledge of Allegiance, and I would like to call on Darren Wilson to lead us this evening.
Hand over heart. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. And at this time, please join us for a brief moment of silence. Thank you. Let's see, next up is the approval of the agenda. May I get a motion, please?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next up, closed session.
There are no closed session items on the regular agenda, which will take us to section 4, presentations and announcements. And that first being item 4.1, service recognition to Darren Wilson.
All right. Well, it is our great pleasure to recognize the great Darren Wilson this evening, our Development Services Director. Assisting with reading the recognition will be Councilmember Kevin Spies. We're going to read all these great accolades about you, sir.
This was my opportunity. I heard this was my opportunity to start the roast, but I guess that's.
We can do that too.
Bring it on.
We'll save the roast for later. Okay. All right. City of Elk Grove recognizes and appreciates Darren Wilson. He has been our Development Services Director from 2014 to 2024. A lot of whereases in here because he's done a lot of good work for us over the years, and we really appreciate him on the team. Darren Wilson obtained his bachelor's degree in civil engineering from Fresno State in 1995
Go Dogs.
and became a licensed professional engineer in 1999. And Mr. Wilson began his career in the city of Folsom, completing plan checks for private development as well as working in private development with John Lang's Homes, helping to develop numerous projects around the Sacramento region. Mr. Wilson joined the City of Elk Grove in 2007 as a consultant with the Public Works Department and was hired by the city in 2010 to oversee the drainage and development engineering divisions. And whereas during this time with Public Works, Mr. Wilson oversaw several critical efforts for the city, including the city's first storm drainage master plan and the development of the award-winning Rain Garden. And whereas in October 2014, Mr. Wilson was promoted to the position of Development Services Director, where he supervised the planning, development, engineering, building, code enforcement, and housing divisions. And among his many accomplishments as director, Mr. Wilson worked collaboratively with the development community, including the formation of the industry working group, and helped transform development review into a one-stop shop. Mr. Wilson brought the planning division operations in-house and oversaw numerous private development projects, including Costco, The Ridge, Kubota, Sterling Meadows, and Sousa Dairy. And Mr. Wilson has faithfully, loyally, and diligently served the Elk Grove community since 2007 and will be missed by his fellow colleagues, staff, and the community for his cooperative spirit and committed leadership to ensuring the success of the Development Services Department and the City of Elk Grove. So now therefore let it be resolved that the City Council and the City of Elk Grove hereby recognizes and celebrates Darren Wilson for his more than 17 years of dedicated service to the city and Elk Grove community, and extends the utmost appreciation and respect to him on the occasion of his retirement, set for July 26, 2024.
I have an app. I just
Yeah.
don't know.
So sign this 24th day of July, 2024.
Thank you very much. I'm humbled and honored, Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the council. It's been a long 17 years, but it wouldn't be an evening without a last presentation. So, but before I do that, I want to acknowledge some friends and family in the audience. My beautiful wife, Monique, please stand. I'm going to embarrass you. More on her in a minute. My favorite mother-in-law, Marie. And I want to tell just a brief story about Marie. She grew up in northern Italy. For most of her childhood, spent 8 years in an orphanage. Then at age 16, she immigrated to the United States of America, this great country, where she learned English, got her high school diploma, worked for her Mama's Vineyard there in Templeton, California. And then later, as she raised a family, she got her JD, passed the bar, and became a deputy DA at Los Angeles County.
Wow, wow.
And then she finished her career as a successful businesswoman before she retired. And that, my friends, is immigration in this country.
Oh, thank you. Yes. That was beautiful.
Next up, we got Jacob our older son, and then Jojo, Jordan, call him many names. And then I've got my older brother, Chris. Before you sit down, he just retired from the police service of 30 years. So,
That's a great mustache, by the way. Great mustache.
so yes, he has a nice mustache. He's the better looking one, just ask him. But brother, thanks for keeping the streets safe and, putting your life on the line for 30 years. And as a token of my appreciation, our appreciation of his service, and courtesy of Elk Grove Police Department and Assistant Chief Paul Solomon, thank you. We've got some.
That's so cool.
Oh, that's great.
Aw. That's wonderful.
You may. Please be seated.
And the taller one.
So for my boys, before I get on to my friend Dan the Man, I always give my boys advice and they hate it and I like embarrassing them, so I'm going to do that. So the first advice is follow your bliss. Always, do what makes you happy because you're going to be doing it for a while, especially if it's work. Work smarter, not harder, and play hard. So he hears that, they hear that a lot. So, and then two words of wisdom: compounding interest. Save your money now. And I actually wanted to do something fun because I want to embarrass my younger son. We have a debate going on in our family, and I want to do a straw poll of the greatest of all time basketball player. So I'm going to do a poll of raise your hand if you think Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player. Look around. All right. LeBron James.
You can only vote once. Vice Mayor, that's because you're a Lakers fan. It doesn't count.
Joe, Elk Grove has spoken. So next I have my friend, partner in crime, Fresno State Bulldog, Dan Hughes. Been a great friend, engineer. I think he's a little jealous I'm ahead of him, but I get caught up. I need to work on the handicap. And then I have a colleague of mine from Folsom, a friend of 20 years, Steve, and his wife, Lisa. She's not going to stand up. I can't tell if she's standing up or not anyway. She's 5'1", I think. So thank you for showing up, your support. There's many more probably listening, friends and family, too numerous to name. I just want to thank everybody for their love and support. And on to the presentation. So this council member Spees went through, but in 2007, I was hired as a contract employee. And the side story on that is I was in El Dorado Hills at a restaurant, and Julie Klein, if some of you remember her as our real estate manager, was there. And she goes, you need to come work for Elk Grove. They need a few good engineers. So I signed on with Interwest, and 3 years later was hired as a contract manager for the city of Elk Grove. That started my employment with the city of Elk Grove. And I was actually the first contract managers signed on. There's 2 others and maybe more in Public Works now. In 2014, Taro Ichabru, who I just saw yesterday, or actually today, went on to Yolo County, and the assistant city manager approached me to be the interim planning director. Of course, as a PE, I don't know planning, I know engineering, but I said, I'll fake it till I make it. And I'm glad they had a vote of confidence in me, and then 4 months later, they named me the permanent planning director. Soon thereafter, I had this, it's not a novel idea because it occurs in a lot of cities, is a one-stop shop for development services. So they reclassed my position to development services director, and it's what I'm going out as, so. And then one thing about Elk Grove that's very attractive to us is the family atmosphere, the work-life balance. And as the boys were growing up, it gave me opportunity to coach football. So there's Jake, much smaller, and then Joe, much smaller. I just love sports, as you'll see in a minute, but coaching them was a dream. So there's one of their championships, big trophy. So thank yous. I want to, thank this council and past councils, a total of 14 council members I've been able to serve. And each one of them were fair to staff. They let us do our job. They relied heavily on our expertise, and for that I appreciate. You may not agree to our recommendations on time to time, but you were always fair and treated us with dignity, and you allow that city manager model to occur in this government. So thank you. Then I have the Planning Commission. I was fortunate and blessed to be able to advise 17 planning commissioners. Yeah, so, and some of them don't know planning, so they're in the same boat as me, so I appreciate them. I help mentor them. Some of them mentored me, specifically George Murphy. He came on about the same time, and him and I have created a friendship where we would meet for breakfast, talk about projects and life in general. So, we have a good planning commission now with Varinder being the new one, but I appreciate all their efforts and, being fair to us as well. So, thank you, planning commissioners. Then we have the executive team. That's most people sitting around here are part of our executive team. You got Daryl and CJ over there. This is the brain trust of the city. This is the people that keep the plates spinning, the policies that, we represent each department as department heads. As we learned through a management series recently, that have cognitive diversity in this group, a lot of breadth of experience and different fields of experience. But what's true is any organization that's strong and moving forward has a cognitive diversity to it. If it was all engineers, Darren, it would be boring. Yeah. If it was all attorneys, who knows what would get done? No offense, John. Next up, I have my managers. With the Development Services Department, I oversaw 5 divisions: planning, engineering, building, housing, and homelessness, and code enforcement. So 5 division managers. I'd not be standing here tonight if it wasn't for those managers. I did not micromanage. I trusted them, empowered them, and they got the job done. So I appreciate all my managers. Finally, we got staff, lifeblood of city government. We could not do anything as managers, as council, as directors, executive staff without the people who make the sausage or in the trenches of whatever cliche you want to use. The staff here is great. We have a great city manager that leads by example, and I appreciate my staff again under good management and their hard work. They made my job easy. So, and then the biggest thank you. So my wife is the most loving, thoughtful, loyal person I know. I want to thank her for supporting me through this career. Lots of night meetings, lots of long commutes. And I'm frankly looking forward to our next chapter together. Next steps, this is the fun part. Many opportunities, no obligations. That's my new motto. Opportunities to volunteer. My wife and I joined the Moose Lodge about 6 months ago, and they have several charity events, one being Moose Heart, which helps disadvantaged youth, and it's in the Illinois, Chicago area, and it provides them education and sporting, sports and all the things that, people that with privilege have in their normal lives. Then Moose Haven is a retirement community in Florida that helps disadvantaged seniors. So we're looking forward to giving back to the community and paying it forward. Next up, opportunities to travel and explore. And I'm just going through a series of pictures of, these are places I've been, but here's what I'll say about exploring. There's so much of the world to explore, and there's even parts of the United States I haven't been to that I'd like to visit, and of course, overseas. So it's a long bucket list. There's only so much time in our life, so take advantage of that. Of course, there's me and my honeymoon and Turks and Caicos. That's not me, that's my beer, sorry. It's recently in Chicago. And then, of course, opportunities to what I call open space management.
Good job holding the flag.
Yes, sir, it is. I got an eagle on that hole.
Oh.
Opportunities, I love sporting events, and I love my Pittsburgh Steelers, so I'm going to continue to watch them, attend sporting events. I grew up in Ohio, so OHIO, go Buckeyes. There's me and my brother before we had wives. No, I'm kidding. This is my brother Todd. He couldn't attend tonight, but he's a captain for the city of Sanger Fire Department, and he's going to be retiring in a couple of years. So we look forward to the bros getting together. It's going to be dangerous. Our younger son went to Boise State. I will say this was the championship game in the Mountain West. Fresno State kicked their butt, and the crowd did not like me because I was at Boise State. And then got to pose on the field with a couple players. Some family in Georgia. Growing up in Tennessee for part of my life, I became a big Braves fan, and of course, I have family in Georgia. As we speak, they're probably listening, and go Braves. Of course, a couple basketball games as well. Opportunities for concerts. I love music. If you ask my wife, she's constantly turning the music down in our house, and I switch it to the next echo that's in the room, and so I love going to live music. It's one of my passions. That's my wife and I at a concert, I think at Sacramento Memorial Auditorium. Opportunities to be with friends. Some of my Fresno State colleagues at a game, some golfing buddies, some gentlemen that I went to high school with that I still stay in touch with. So
That's awesome.
now you know what class I went to. Dan the Man.
Dan the man.
There's him and his wife. That was at our trip in Chicago. And then this is the Godfather picture. This was taken at my 50th birthday in Nashville. So a lot of support, family, friends in this picture. Then family, opportunities to be with family. These are my siblings. You've met Chris. Todd is the one down below, and my sister from Georgia. Could not be here, but we wish them well, and hello if they're listening. That's my brother-in-law, Dominic, from Phoenix, Arizona. His family's probably listening in. Hello, everyone. That's his family. This is the Wilson clan in Florida. We got matching shirts. It says wreaking havoc since the Middle Ages. It's pretty much the Wilson clan. Then the grandchildren. Hopefully they're on video, and I know it's a little past their bedtime. They live in Georgetown, Kentucky, so they're 3 hours ahead, but we've got Jackson and Brianna, and they're growing up way too quickly. So opportunity to be with them more. This is Jackson with Justin Thomas, a professional golfer, the PGA championship recently in Louisville, Kentucky. And look at that, cute as a bug's ear. That's my daughter, Kayla, and her very handsome and supportive husband. Can be goofy at times, as you can see. He's probably going to kill me for putting that picture up. So when we get together, we have a lot of fun time. In fact, when the parents go on date night, we're Nona and I'm called G Will. Yeah,
You will.
we're like the substitute teacher. They want us to watch because it's all fun and games. And then finally, because this is a project that has environmental analysis, the project is exempt under CEQA guidelines under the common sense exemption.
Common sense.
Staff, aka me, recommends the City Council of the City of Elk Grove approve the D. Wills retirement project. But before I do, I do have one last request. It's something close to my heart, and maybe I should say my brain. In August of 2021, I was diagnosed with Parkinson's. And to me, I want to get it out, the education, and I want to be able to give a request at the end here. So I get the question, what is Parkinson's? And you know, it occurs in the substantia nigra region of the brain, which produces the dopamine cells. Those cells die off, and they die off exponentially over time. And it causes motor and non-motor symptoms, which I'll get here in a minute, which are motor-related symptoms are tremors. Those are the obvious ones that you see. Slow movements called bradykinesia. This arm, which is my right arm, works fine. This is very slow to react. Rigidity and stiffness of your muscles. Unstable posture or walking gait. As you know, if you want to test somebody, the doctor says, watch them walk. If they don't swing both arms, have them checked up. Difficulties in swallowing. Some of the non-motor symptoms of Parkinson's disease, loss of some sense of smell, drooling, gastrointestinal problems, insomnia, and then treatment options. A A lot of money's going into the disease. Limited on treatment. It's definitely a prescription drug, disease. You need to take the drugs. The gold standard for this is levodopa carbidopa, which provides dopamine to the brain so you can function. And over time, you have to take more and more doses each day. But right now I'm down to the minimum of 3 doses a day, and I hopefully keep that for some time. So DBS or deep brain stimulation, that's more for advanced. And then if some of these other treatment options don't work, focused ultrasound is another option. A few statistics: 1 million people in the United States are affected by PD, and almost 100,000 people in the US are diagnosed each year. So that's a big alarming rate. And then more than 10 million are affected worldwide. Who has PD? You may recognize some of these faces. The common one is Michael J. Fox. You got Alan Alda from MASH, Ozzy Osbourne for Bark at the Moon. You got Muhammad Ali and Neil Diamond. Recent news to a cure, there was a biomarker they found the biomarker that causes or predisposes you for the disease. You could say, well, how does that help? It helps with the cure eventually. It just provides you, if you take a test, they could say, yes, you're predetermined to have Parkinson's, and maybe you can treat it early. And then recently, the president, this month, passed the national plan to end Parkinson's Act, and that's the first ever federal initiative to prevent and cure Parkinson's disease. Treat its symptoms, slow down its progression, or stop it. It also establishes a federal advisory council that would provide recommendations and guidance towards the progression of curing the disease. I love quotes. This is Napoleon Hill, an American writer. Quote, "Every negative event contains within it a seed of equal or greater benefit." So I call those silver linings. No matter how dark or negative your life is, I challenge everyone to find the silver lining, because there's more than one for me, and I'm going to list them. More perspective and awareness on life for not only mental awareness, physical, taking care of my body. Exercise is very important with not only Parkinson's disease, heart disease, whatever, diabetes. Exercise is important. Mental, spiritual, emotional well-being is very critical. The symptoms, fortunately for me, are on my left side, which is my non-dominant side. So you can imagine eating or writing or trying to take a drink with a trimmer. You'd have to learn to use your other hand. And finally, I have an automatic drink mixer. So here's some education and research where you can donate to the cause. Michael J. Fox Foundation at www.michaeljfox.org. And then you got the Parkinson's Foundation at parkinson.org. So my request is, starting in 2025, I'm requesting the City Council recognize every April as Parkinson's Awareness Month. Thank you, Elk Grove. It's been a blessing. Didn't mean to be Debbie Downer. I needed to get the education and the word out. The more people to know, the quicker you get to a cure. So thank you.
Wow. So before we come down and present this to you, Sorry, I'm going to allow some opportunity for my colleagues to say something. I'm going to start with you, Councilmember Suen.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
My brother Darren.
I was just gonna say, you beat me to it. Yeah, I gotta take this off to, say these words. By the way, as your brother Darren, I can share, I'm happy to say I share your brother Todd's good taste in 49ers. So we'll have to work on that in your retirement. It's been an absolute pleasure to watch your career over the years. A lot of people don't know, we've known each other for so long. I remember when you were coming over from Interwest, and in the development community, there was this excitement around the city of Elk Grove's gonna get this great guy named Darren Wilson to come in here. And you've done nothing but that, is demonstrate how great you are for this city. Even right in your PowerPoint slides, the common sense thing was, I took note of that because I felt like when you were first coming here, you have that common sense, the problem solving, obviously the being able to deal with people and the community in a very professional but caring manner. You've always had a great stewardship of this city since you've been here, taking care of it, but as well as being very professional and forthright with its customers. And so the city, if people are happy about the infrastructure that's out there, a lot of it is due to your oversight for all the development projects, the roads, the sewers, the storm drains, all the things that were built that are underground that people may not see and take for granted, but they enjoy every single day. And this is a very obviously bitter, sweet moment. We're very happy for you about your retirement. Congratulations to Monique and the family and your boys. But obviously, there's some challenges that you've articulated, and we wish you very much the best and hopes for your future as you deal with that, but also enjoy these great opportunities, these silver linings that you mentioned. I think, again, another reason why you're such a great asset for us in the community as a father, as a person, as well as you've been for the city. Your outlook on life is infectious, and so I will very much miss that from you, my brother.
All right.
Best wishes to you.
Thank you, my brother Darren.
Thank you, Mayor.
Vice Mayor.
Now, I want to thank you, Darren, for your leadership for the city for the past decade and a half, really, because a lot of what we see and what a lot of the public really enjoys and speaks very highly of has happened on your watch under your leadership. Can't thank you enough on that, especially how you've led the Planning Commission and really played a very integral role in being the cool hand behind the scenes for all the decisions they've made and all the decisions and questions that we have in making us more effective in our jobs. There's something to be said about having strong leadership, quiet leadership, sure-handed leadership, and you exemplify all of that in spades. You really do. Now, when it comes to that poll, I did vote for LeBron James, so I got you, Joe. But in the bigger picture of things, when you give presentations for your retirement speech, you just raise the bar, because that to be that detailed and to do it in that short amount of time is very amazing. And
He's a civil engineer, Rod.
well, he went to Fresno State. That also counts too. But yeah. But I do want to thank you. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your leadership, and thank you for educating us on the realities that exist with Parkinson's disease. As I have my uncle, one of my uncle's brothers, when I went to his 50th anniversary a couple weeks ago, I saw him with those conditions and the shaking of his right hand, and it's something to be very aware of, and just really embracing the silver linings, continuing to educate people, and really living optimistically. I think that's the key in the moving forward and really being successful in your retirement years. And I definitely want to see you continue on and being successful in these retirement years, because you know you have a lot of people that rely on you. The Pittsburgh Steelers rely on you. And
Here we go.
and I think this is one of them things where we are all better for your presence and for us knowing you. So thank you so much, Darren.
Thank you, Rod. I appreciate it.
Councilmember Spies?
Wow, Darren. I've really enjoyed having the opportunity to serve with you since I think about 2014, 2015, I think is when I came on Planning Commission. And I learned a lot from you, and I really appreciate that. One of the things that's most important to me is community service. And I think what a lot of folks don't know, I mean, I think obviously he's told you about his love of golf, right? But there have been many times when I've called upon Darren to say, hey, can you help me out? Can you find a group that wants to do a foursome, or can you help with some fundraising for the food bank? Or and yep, right on that. And so, Darren, I appreciate you for that. Thank you for giving. Thanks for giving back to Elk Grove. It means a lot, and thank you for sharing your story about Parkinson's. Frankly, to me it's a frightening thing. But thank you for explaining it. And while we can't take a vote here, I think you'd probably, if we were, you'd probably get 5 thumbs up on making sure that proclamation happens every year. So.
You can take a vote.
Well,
don't care.
it's not properly noticed.
Sign
We
the
got Brown
resolution.
Act.
John,
It would be bad. Yeah, I think we're good. I think we can make that happen. So you got my promise that if we don't remember it, I'll put it on my watch. It'll remind us. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yep, there you go.
thank you,
Thanks,
Kevin.
Darren. I
It was a
appreciate it.
pleasure serving you both on the Planning Commission and the council.
Thanks, Jerry.
Councilmember Robles?
I just want to say G Will once. G Will. That's an amazing nickname. I'm going to use that if it's okay. I know sometimes family has specific nicknames they only use for
Well,
family.
it's D. Will, but
D-Will.
Grandpa
I
Wilson.
thought it was G Will, but D Will. I'll use that one too. 17 years. Thank you for your service, and thank you just for always being a positive person, always having a smile on your face. When I first got on the Planning Commission, I didn't know what I was doing, and you embraced me with open arms. Offered advice, offered mentorship, and we went through a couple tough projects, a couple big ones, but every step of the way you were there. And I know you've done it for every planning commissioner that has come through the Elk Grove City Planning Commission. We wish you the best on your next chapter of life. I hope to be able to witness your handicap, as we go through the years, and wish you the best. And you guys just have an amazing time traveling, have an amazing time. We'll be looking for photos and just excited. And again, thank you for everything you did for Elk Grove. Appreciate
All
it.
right, thanks, Sergio.
Oh, gosh. Catching me mid-cough right now, too, so. Darren, just thank you for your service to this great city. Thank you for loving Elk Grove, for committing to serving this city. We are a better city because of you. Your slide presentation reflected who you are, your values, your commitment to your city, your community, your family, your friends, your staff, your colleagues, everyone. That's quite remarkable. I don't know anyone that's ever had anything negative to ever say about you. And with sharing your disease with the vulnerability that it takes, it's a true leader. It's not easy to share those kinds of personal experiences. But I hope that everybody watching and that those that are here can see an example of that resiliency, which is also equally important. And since I know you're a child and product of the 80s music, I will say in the words of Tina Turner, you're simply the best, better than all the rest. I would sing it, but I sing awfully. Thank you again for your years of service. We are just so proud of you. Sad to see you leave, but you have so earned this next chapter of your life. Enjoy it with everything, and thank you again.
Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you.
Mayor, members of the council, before you come down, there's a procedural point that I think we need to address as your attorney. The request from the staff member was to approve the retirement of Mr. Wilson, which suggests that you could choose not to approve it, and he has to stay here. And so on behalf of the city, I recommend that you not approve that staff request. On behalf
Like,
of
is this
Mr.
like a real
Wilson,
action
I
here?
strongly recommend you approve it.
All those in favor reluctantly?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Abstentions?
You get to go.
Everyone just get real comfortable.
Get
Your
comfortable.
story. Oh my God, you're my hero.
Can I get in
Yeah,
next?
you can get in. Just suck it in.
Everyone in.
Yeah, a lot of family.
You look retired.
Please, everyone, just squeeze in where you, we can squat if needed.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. One more for good measure. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
How are you?
I'm good.
Thank
I'm
you for your
Chris.
service, sir.
Thank you. Failed to mention, I the city of Fresno. but I-
Fresno, okay,
Yeah.
yeah. The mayor there is a friend.
Oh, okay, yeah.
All right, next item is 4.2, our new hire introductions.
All right, I'm gonna start this off. I'm gonna move over here though really quick. This is something we do every quarter where we
Yep.
recognize our new employees that have been hired in the last quarter as well as those that have been promoted. And it's my pleasure to introduce first person on the list, which is our new Development Services Director, replacing our wonderful Darren Wilson, Mr. Christopher Jordan. Christopher, come up here. Christopher's been with the city a very long time. He's been most recently serving as our Director of Strategic Planning and Innovation, being our innovation whiz, helping the city think differently and strategically. Also, a lot of long-range planning, other strategic initiatives. He's been the lead on our zoo project and other countless projects that have made a huge difference in our community. He is a planner by trade, so unlike Mr. Wilson, does not have a PE, so he'll bring that different aspect. He's, like Darren was learning the planning side, Chris will be learning more of the engineering side in the new role, but I have great confidence in his ability to do an amazing job, and we'll have a seamless transition under his new leadership. So Christopher, we're grateful to have you in your new role. Thank you. I think next we're going to do our police department. Assistant Chief.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, staff, and community members. I'm Paul Solomon, your Assistant Chief of Police, and I have the pleasure of introducing the Police Department's new hires, promotions for the second quarter. First up, we'll start with Animal Care Specialist Stacy David. Come on up. Stacy was born and raised in Stockton. Prior to joining Oak Grove PD, she was a leasing consultant. While away from work, Stacy enjoys doing dog training, hiking, and being outdoors. Congratulations. Thank you. Next up, couldn't be with us today, is Officer Matthew Johnson. Matthew was born and raised in Napa. Prior to joining Elk Grove PD, he spent 4 years as a police officer with the Ceres Police Department and is currently enlisted with the United States Air Force Reserves. While away from work, Matthew enjoys going to the gym, hiking, traveling the world, and learning to play guitar. Next up, we have Dispatcher Gene Sennett. Gene was born in Lodi and raised in the Rio Vista, Ileton area. Prior to joining Elk Grove PD, he worked for the Ileton Fire Department for over 9 years. While away from work, Gene enjoys spending time with his family, going to Giants games, and attending concerts. Next up, we have CSO Michael Fotis. Michael was born and raised in Sacramento. Prior to joining Elk Grove PD, he worked for Nissan of Elk Grove for 1.5 years. While away from work, he enjoys traveling, cooking, hiking, and golfing. Dispatcher Jana Estruth. Sorry about that. Jana was born and raised in Tracy and relocated to Elk Grove in 2019. She is currently working on her degree in business entrepreneurship. I can never say that word right. I don't know what it is with that word. With a minor in psychology at Grand Canyon University. While away from work, Jana enjoys watching Stanford football and reading books while relaxing at the beach.
Thank you.
CSO Emily Mitchell. Emily was born and raised in Elk Grove and currently attends Cosumnes River College. Prior to joining Elk Grove PD, she worked at Olive Garden for 3 years. While away from work, Emily enjoys hiking, running, and assisting the cheer team at Laguna Creek High School. Congratulations. Let's see, I have up next CSO Taran Singh Mola. Sorry, you guys are out of order. Taran was born in Sacramento, has been an Elk Grove resident since 2009. Prior to joining Elk Grove PD, he worked for various food establishments in Elk Grove. While away from work, he enjoys playing soccer, basketball, and video games. Congratulations. Okay, next up we have ASO, Animal Services Officer, Celeste Aguilar. Celeste was born and raised in Stockton, but relocated to Elk Grove when she was 15 years old. Prior to joining Elk Grove PD, she worked as an assistant park ranger with Cosumnes Community Service District. While away from work, Celeste enjoys going on walks, gardening, and interior design. Congratulations. Okay, next up we have, now you're up, Dispatcher Carrie Sotak. Carrie is from Chicago and now resides in Elk Grove. Prior to joining Elk Grove PD, she worked as a certified athletic trainer in sports medicine. While away from work, Carrie enjoys cooking, working on house projects, and playing fantasy football. Next up, we have 911 call taker, Ashley Bagwell. Ashley was raised in Elk Grove. Prior to joining Elk Grove PD, she was the Director of Operations for Laguna Youth Baseball. While away from work, Ashley enjoys baking, volunteering, and visiting California's beaches. Awesome. Next up, we have Animal Services Officer Marcellus Campos Reese. Marcellus was born and raised in Berkeley. Prior to joining Elk Grove PD, he worked for the San Francisco Zoo for nearly a decade. While away from work, Marcellus enjoys going on long drives, visiting national parks, and hiking with his dogs. CSO Tori Jones. Tori was born in Manteca and raised in Escalon. Prior to joining Elk Grove PD, she worked as a loss prevention associate at Target for 4.5 years. While away from work, Tori enjoys playing softball, baseball, and watching movies and crocheting stuffed animals. Now, we have, well, before we get to Andrea, Officer Blaine Cornwell couldn't be here today. Blaine was born in Proctorville, Ohio. Prior to joining Elk Grove PD, he served a little over 9 years with the United States Air Force Security Forces. While away from work, Blaine enjoys sports, video games, and fostering animals. Next up, we have Real-Time Information Center Manager, Andrea Cortez. Andrea joined Elk Grove PD on August 14th, 2016. Prior to her promotion, she was assigned to the Arctic as an analyst. Congratulations. And that's it for the police department.
I'm back. Next up, we have Desiree Ely. Goes by Des. Des was born in Hayward and raised with one younger brother in South Sacramento. She was previously in the career of field of animal care and services for 7 years. Her most recent transition is from the city of Sacramento. She began there as an animal control officer 2, moved up to senior animal control officer, and ended her journey there as the interim chief animal control officer. After hearing so amazing things over the years about the city of Elk Grove, she decided to launch her new journey as a code enforcement officer. In her spare time, she likes to daydream about working out at the gym and taking long walks on the beach. More realistically, she loves to karaoke with her 10-month-old daughter and 40-year-old parrot, Mr. Bill. She also enjoys traveling, writing, investing in her ever so small Amazon shopping problem. So, please welcome Des to the family. He's back.
Hey.
The vortex of Elk Grove sucked him back in. Jose Mendez. I think this is the same thing I read when we introduced it last time, but we're going to go with it.
For the old email, forward it on.
Jose was worked in the code enforcement profession for over 20 years. He first started his career in the county of Sacramento, where he assisted in the implementation of the rental housing inspection program. He was previously code enforcement manager for the city of Sacramento, where he regulated several industries. Jose holds a BA in organizational behavior and leadership and an MBA, both from the University of San Francisco. That's the Dons? Dons. He grew up in the Bay Area and has been a resident of Sacramento since 2004. He's extremely proud of his 19-year-old son, who currently studies at San Francisco State University. Gators. Go Gators. Jose enjoys the outdoors, including paddleboarding, hiking, kayaking. Him and his fiance volunteer at a local church called the Project Church, and he aspires to start a nonprofit one day that'll assist in providing financial literacy to young parents. He also inspires in opening a coffee shop and a bookstore. So please welcome back Mr. Jose Mendez.
It's going to be locally in Elk Grove, right? For the coffee shop? Locally in Elk Grove, right? All right.
Good evening, everyone. Jeff Warner, your Public Works Director. Happy to present your Public Works new hires this evening. First, we have Federico Sanchez. Federico joined our operations division in April as a drainage maintenance technician. He has extensive experience in drainage system maintenance and operations. His knowledge of CCTV pipeline inspection will be a tremendous asset to the team as we look to complete inspection of the city's 2.1 million linear feet of storm drain pipe. Federico attended Estrellita High School in Galt, enjoys spending time with his family with the new addition on the way, congratulations, kayaking and hiking. Sounds like you got some partners here at the city, man, and go kayaking and hiking with. Appreciate you. Thanks for being here. Next, we have Shauna Towler. Shauna comes to us from Calaveras County, where she spent 11 years in public works. Shauna started as a permit technician and left as a public works analyst too, learning all aspects of the department from encroachment permits to purchasing and procurement to capital improvement projects. She's an alumnus of Western Governors University and has recently relocated to Elk Grove. Darren, you know the mascot for Western Governors University?
Western what?
Governors.
Peacocks.
There you go.
Close, owls.
Oh.
Close.
Shauna is excited to become a part of the Elk Grove community and all that it has to offer her and her 2 daughters. Welcome, Shauna. Next, we have Krista Guzman. Chris comes to us from the city of San Jose, where he spent nearly 11 years in public works, performing plan reviews and project management on capital improvement projects. He graduated from San Jose State University and has recently relocated to Sacramento. Chris spends his free time with his wife and son and enjoys playing and watching sports. Happy to have you, Chris. And last, we have Bryant Bowen. Bryant couldn't be here with us this evening as he had a death in the family, but he wanted me to express his sincere gratitude for his position here with the city. He joined our street operations and maintenance team in May as a senior maintenance technician. He comes to us from the city of Stockton, where he worked as a senior maintenance repair technician. He enjoys spending time with his family, whether it's camping, game night, or just hanging out at the beach. Thank you.
Is that everyone? Yeah. All right. Well, congratulations to everyone. Certainly, if you're new to the city, welcome. You will love your place of employment here. We're a wonderful city. The staff are wonderful and very gracious. So congratulations to those that are promoting up as well. Next up is our public comment. So I will go ahead and open up the public comment opportunity. There are a few people signed up to speak. We'll start with Tim O'Brien, followed by Bonnie Stensler.
How you doing? I've never been to one of these, so if I do it wrong, let me know.
You have 3 minutes, sir.
Awesome.
Since you haven't been here.
Council members, my name's Tim O'Brien, resident of Elk Grove for 24 years and Wilton for about 13 years. By trade, I'm a facilities manager and building manager. And so I just wanted to talk about the sidewalk repair kind of project that goes on in Elk Grove. I'll read it. I was recently served with a notice to repair a sidewalk driveway by a courier early in July. The description read, remove and replace 40 square feet of cracked and broken sidewalk and remove roots from under the damaged sidewalk, including removing a 17-inch tree and grinding the stump. This notice from the city was a very specific order and did not seem like a recommendation or an option on how it could be corrected. I've provided I have images and such that I can share along with the packet, but as you will be able to see from these pictures that I took, there's very little evidence that tree roots is the cause of this damage. I've spoken with some of the city officials on this. In fact, the minimal grinding that was performed because somebody said that they slipped and fell there has all but pretty much eliminated the issue. There is almost no slope. There is nothing there. It's pretty amazing that we're being asked to replace 40 square feet of concrete for something like this. I'd also like to add that at least 2, if not 3, public projects have impacted this exact area of the sidewalk, one being a sidewalk patch in front of the water connections of 2 of the homes, and I have images of that. And then most recently, within the last year, 2 ADA sidewalks have been put in where, believe it or not, that exact spot is where the 2 heavy trucks parked on the sidewalk, right where it's being said needs to be repaired. I found that many cities and counties, including Sac County, have programs that are assisting with paying for sidewalk repairs. The city of Elk Grove does not have anything. They put that full brunt on the citizens of Elk Grove and the adjacent property owners. So that's something I would love for you guys to consider. I did reach out to the city, tried to go through the proper channels. I asked them to look into it with this information. I was told they would escalate it. They did. They called me back the following day to inform me that it was denied, and the reason was that no matter what the reason, they must treat everyone the same, so no exceptions. Very disappointed with the city not even wanting to kind of hear it out and look at a case-by-case situation. As we know, damage can be caused by numerous things, and this could put a hardship on citizens of Elk Grove. So not having any kind of plans, payment plans, most of the cities that I looked up in the state of California have some kind of shared responsibility with the homeowners to help alleviate that financial burden, because most citizens do not know that they are even responsible financially to make those repairs. So this is something I would ask you to consider, and that's all I got.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Do you need to talk to anyone from the city if you want to connect, or we can?
Follow up, Mr. O'Brien.
Yeah, Jeff will call.
Yes, and if you need to get a hold of me, my information's listed on the website.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up is Bonnie Stensler, followed by Angela Adams.
Have to get up on my toes here. Good evening, Mayor and council members, city staff, city manager, Assistant Chief Solomon. I'm Bonnie Stensler, and tonight I'm joined by several of my fellow residents and neighbors who reside at Glenbrook. We are a very active adult community that you're all very familiar with. We are in District 4. We have our representative, Sergio. I want to commend Sergio for being always available to us. He answers our questions. We send him texts. He follows up. We appreciate his support. Tonight, I'm actually here because we value our ongoing relationship with our city council, staff, first responders, police, firefighters, EMTs. We want to personally take this opportunity to invite you once again to join us at Glenbrook on Tuesday, August 6th for National Night Out. We're looking forward to connecting with those who serve and protect us all, and it's an opportunity to further strengthen our very own neighborhood and the valuable relationship that we already are fortunate to enjoy with all of you, and we want to continue that bond. So please, we look forward to seeing you on August 6th. Thank you.
Thank you. You know, we'll be there.
I hear the mayor's gonna be karaokeing there, so.
You're my backup, remember? Next up is Angela Adams, followed by, is it Caesar or Cesar Placentia?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. My name is Angela Adams, and I'm here to I have dedicated 16 years of my life to the Carpenters Union, specializing in drywall lath and metal framing. I am here today to advocate for my brothers and sisters in the Carpenters Union and for myself regarding the core values and area labor standards that are so vital for our industry. In this, it is crucial to have these standards in place to ensure accountability across the board. These rules protect all parties involved and ensure fair wages and safe working conditions. I have personally experienced long hours and lengthy commutes required just to make ends meet, which is why I'm all for local hiring, which is one of NorCal's great core values. Now that I have the opportunity to share my experience, I want to emphasize on the importance of maintaining and enforcing area labor standards. There were times when my paycheck was delayed or incorrect, creating significant hardships. Others in the trade face similar issues, feeling like they deserve better treatment or more respect for their labor. Thanks to the Carpenters' rules and regulations, these issues had to be addressed, ensuring everyone complies with the standards that protects us all. This gives all construction workers the chance to obtain apprenticeship training, good health insurance, and prevailing wages. This is why I am a strong supporter of Carpenter's core values. These standards are not just about rules, they are about dignity, fairness, and ensuring that every worker can support their families. I ask that the City Council recognize and uphold the importance of area labor standards for the well-being of all construction workers in the trade. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Cesar Placencia. Is it Cesar or Cesar?
Yeah, Cesar's fine.
Okay.
Hello, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members. My name is Cesar Placencia. I'm a member of Carpenters Local 46. Today I stand before you to shed light on three critical pillars of societal well-being: livable wages, healthcare accessibility, and apprenticeship in construction. Firstly, the concept of a livable wage is not just about earning enough to survive, but to thrive with dignity. It ensures that individuals can afford the basics: food, shelter, and healthcare. Secondly, healthcare should not be a luxury, but a fundamental human right. Accessible healthcare ensures that no one has to choose between financial ruin and their well-being. Lastly, apprenticeships in construction offers a pathway to sustainable careers and economic stability. By investing in vocational training, we not only address the skilled labor shortage, but also provide opportunities for personal growth and development. In conclusion, let us strive for a society where everyone has access to livable wages, healthcare, and opportunities for advancement. Thank you.
Thank you. And our final speaker is Lynn Wheat.
Good evening. I went out and thanked Mr. Wilson because he and I have had encounters as a resident when they did the stormwater plan. I was there, and so I've been to meetings. He's answered questions, and I appreciated his knowledge as a civil engineer. Now I will read my comments. Our city has a dismal land use history as described by one UC Davis professor. Poster child for poor land use planning will only continue as the city sprawls. Tonight I'm going to present past examples which bring us to the latest events, which of course our leaders will choose to blame someone else because in our city the buck stops no place. Example 1, the Ventura Park project. Once again, the community rallied around protecting the deterioration of the rural community, the increased congestion, and poorly planned project. The community sued and won the lawsuit, not stopping the project completely, but at least a water source had to be identified, and the community fought to have a better residential plan. Example 2, the Laguna Ridge Specific Plan, which was to be the diamond of Elk Grove. The numerous rezones led to more piecemeal projects and a zone change allowing a hospital to be built. Now, we all need a hospital, but many of the home buyers bought believing that they'd have a wonderful shopping community and smaller businesses. Now they will look out at a 5-story parking structure and a hospital with a helipad. Complementing this is the locally crowded Costco shopping area. At the time of the Costco project hearing, the neighborhood had rallied to fight having the truck loading zone and gas station along Civic Center Drive and right next to the neighborhood. The cheaply designed Costco was improved upon when it was brought to the attention of the council the better designed Costcos in other local cities. When questioned by a council member, the Costco representative response was, "We built it to your standards." In my opinion, not much has changed as the Nordstrom Rack, without residents being aware, has the loading docks along Civic Center Drive and their neighborhood, plus the very sterile wall. Example 3, Sterling Meadows, a specific planned community, rezoned, of course, to eliminate business sites for more homes. Homeowners who purchased in the community and pay the high assessments will be looking at a zoo employee parking lot instead of the fire station as described when they purchased their home. Who will take responsibility for the poor planning, rezones, and the bundled general plan amendments? Who will take responsibility for building all the market rate housing while dismissing affordable housing because of the narrow definition of affordable to mean only huge apartment complexes instead of in considering inclusionary housing such as starter homes and duplexes. The market rate home developers simply pay a fee to the city and wash their hands instead of truly helping to build an economically diverse community. Now our city will be expanding southward beyond Cameron with the Elk Grove Crossing specific plan. More of the same can be expected, as said by one previous council member. However, the water source will be different. According to the 2016 Harvest Water
your time is
Project
up.
document, our
your
community
time is
will
up.
be drinking
you.
recycled wastewater by the
Thank
year
you.
2030, and we will all be paying, and we
Ms. Wheat,
are
your time
paying
is
for the
up.
piping being laid now. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that was our final speaker. So I will go ahead and close the public comment opportunity and move on to our next item.
All right, good evening, Madam Mayor, Mr. Vice Mayor, members of the City Council, Jason Behrman, City Manager. Happy to report on several items this evening. First of all, Elk Grove once again shows up in a best of list. Livability.com has released a ranking of the top 25 best places to live in the West in '24, and Elk Grove came in at number 8 and the top city listed in the state of California. The Strauss Festival Elk Grove returns to Elk Grove Park for performances beginning this Thursday and running nightly through Sunday. The city is proud to sponsor this annual community event and will make a special presentation of the performance on Friday night. Additionally, officers will be on site each night to ensure the safety of all who attend. Performances start at 7:30 p.m. Admission is free. Parking is $10. More information is on the Strauss Festival website. There are 2 projects that will impact motorists traveling across the city over the next week. First, Union Pacific Railroad has closed a section of Sheldon Boulevard at the railroad tracks to perform track repairs. This closure will be in effect through Friday, July 26th. Detours have been put in place for east and westbound traffic on Sheldon. For more information, contact the UPRR representatives, Alfonso Davis or Ross Mendola, whose information is on our website. Also, nighttime pavement work is also scheduled to start July 29th on Bighorn Boulevard between Bruceville Road and Laguna Boulevard. Sections will be replaced in both directions. The work will be conducted nightly through August 2nd. From 8 p.m. to 5 a.m., temporary traffic controls will be in place, and motorists should expect short delays. The police department is helping kids gear up for the school year with a pop-up school supply drive near the entrance of the Walmart on Bruceville Road between 9 a.m. and noon this Saturday, July 27th. This drive benefits local low-income residents and helps send them back to school prepared for learning. You can contribute by donating new and unused school supplies. The police department will host their 3rd Barbecue in the Beat at Jones Family Park on Saturday, August 10th from 11 to 2 p.m. Stop by for a free barbecue, lunch, games, vehicle, and equipment display. Cosumnes CSD Fire Department will also be there with their equipment. And finally, we're bringing comedy shows outdoors again this summer. 2 comedy shows are scheduled as part of the Fridays in the Grove series. Join us first on August 2nd at Old Town Plaza and or August 16th at District 56 for comedy performances in partnership with Sacramento Laughs Unlimited. General admission is $10 per person, must be 21 years of age or older. You can purchase the tickets online on the city's website. And that concludes my report. Happy to answer any questions that the council might have.
Any questions or comments? All right, none, seeing none, thank you. All right, next up is our consent calendar. I do have Ms. Wheat. Are you signed up to speak?
No, I think that was just left over from last item, so
Oh,
no
okay.
speakers signed up under
Okay.
consent calendar.
All right, very good. May I, if there's no questions on the consent calendar, I'm looking for a motion.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Thank you. All right, next item is 8.1.
That is a public hearing to consider resolution confirming and approving the report of delinquent solid waste and storm drain utility charges prepared by Republic Services and authorizing the finance director to take the actions necessary to collect the delinquent charges on the Sacramento County tax roll.
Good evening, Mayor Singleton and members of the council. I am Kara Taylor Seaman, the finance manager here at the city, and I'm here tonight to present the Republic Services annual delinquent utility reports for the proposed tax roll. Just a little background, the city began contracting with Republic Services back in July of 2017. They provide solid waste and storm drain utility service payments The accounts listed on the proposed levy represent those that have been delinquent with Republic Services for charges incurred before May 1st of this year, and which have been unpaid for at least 120 days. This is consistent with the Elk Grove Municipal Code. Each year, Republic Services uses the county tax roll to recover those costs, and the city does assist them in that process. This is for both solid waste and storm drain. On June 20th of this year, letters were sent to notify delinquent account holders of tonight's public hearing. Just over 2,700 account holders were notified, and the total dollar amount was just over $1.5 million. This is relatively close to what we've seen last year and in previous years. The detail for the solid waste and storm drain charges are shown on the screen, both the number of delinquent accounts and those payments. Following the notifications, 743 of those accounts were brought current, so and that with approximately $219,000. So the total tax roll will be just over $1 million. The number of delinquencies is, again, not significantly higher than what we've seen in the past. In closing, the customers were provided with the deadline of July 19th, that was last Friday, in order to bring their accounts current so that it would not be included on the tax roll. Those who did, those accounts will not be submitted to the tax roll, but the others will. All others, there are representatives here at Republic Services to speak directly with the customers, and they have been speaking with customers. They're in the lobby here tonight. So staff's recommendation is that you conduct the public hearing, adopt the resolution, and approve and confirm the report, and then request that delinquent charges be placed on the upcoming tax roll for our citizens. Thank you. I'm available for any questions.
All right, thank you for your presentation. At this time, I'll open up the public hearing and open up the public comment opportunity. I don't have anyone signed up to speak. I'll close public comment and declare the public hearing is now closed.
Mayor, move to adopt staff's recommendation, adopt the resolution.
Second.
All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. 9.1.
This is a long one. You're going to be receiving information on the E-Ride electric bicycle and scooter lending library and consider a resolution establishing an e-bike voucher program. Also consider accepting energy efficiency and conservation block grant funding from the U.S. Department of Energy, normalizing budgets upon those rewards, and then looking at executing agreements for the program vouchers systems. Hand it over to staff.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members. I'm Kaylee Lyons, your Senior Transportation Planner, and I'm really excited to be here to talk about these two new programs that we're getting to launch. So the recommendation before you is to receive information on the E-Ride Lending Library and then establish a new e-bike voucher program. So I'll begin by talking about the Lending Library. As a reminder, this program is funded through a $250,000 grant from SACOG, and authority to accept those funds were on your agenda last fall. Our goals include reducing vehicle miles traveled and greenhouse gas emissions consistent with our climate action plan, as well as improving health and mobility options for residents. So as we get ready to launch the program, we've set some parameters around how it will work, and residents 18 and older will be able to check out a device for free for up to 3 weeks and see where it can take them. So they can try it out for commute trips, going to the grocery store, running errands, or recreation. And our fleet will have a variety of devices available. So we'll have standard step-through e-bikes, folding e-bikes, which are helpful if you're taking a transit trip or want to take the bike elsewhere. Cargo e-bikes, which will help haul groceries around, and e-trikes, which is one of the items that you're seeing here, which also has a larger cargo capacity. We'll eventually have a few e-scooters and an adaptive bike as well, and all of the devices have been purchased from local shops in Elk Grove. All of these devices are considered Class 2 based on the California Vehicle Code. So they have a maximum speed of 20 miles per hour, and they are allowed on our local trails and bikeways. They will be equipped with GPS trackers for data collection, and those trackers have speed alerts. So our trail speed limits are 15 miles per hour, and I will get alerts to monitor adherence for the folks checking out the devices. And then I wanted to add that we're also working on a trail wayfinding and signage program that will provide information about rules and etiquette on our trails and disseminate information about all of the places that you can get on that network. So that'll be coming to you soon. In terms of process, the devices will be available to check out from City Hall. They will be Participants will be provided with locks, battery chargers. All of the batteries are removable for easy charging. They all have integrated front and rear lights, and we'll have essentially lending library hours available, Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and one Saturday a month to accommodate various schedules of residents and our current capacity. And everyone checking out a device will sign a waiver. They'll watch a few e-bike safety videos, take some quizzes, and agree to wear a helmet while riding. So in terms of outreach, we're going to do broad outreach online and at community events, and then we're also going to target seniors and low-income residents. We had an EV ride and drive last fall where folks were able to test ride a few e-bikes and trikes, and 35% of the folks that came out to do that were over 60 years old. So we really do see some potential to help our seniors get around town. The program will also include social rides and e-bike safety education, and we'll be having a launch event soon. So with the grant funding available, this will be run as a 12-month pilot project. We will continually collect data and evaluate based on feedback that we're receiving to evolve the program. We hope to expand with future devices within the available grant funding, and we aim to have additional locations for checkout to reduce barriers to participation. So more information is available at elgrovecity.org/ebike library. That website is live as of about 3 hours ago, so hot off the press. And then I'll move on to our e-bike voucher program. So we really see this as a natural progression. We're launching the lending library. Folks can try out different devices, and then if they are interested in purchasing one for themselves, we have grant funding available from the Department of Energy to provide vouchers to help with those purchases. The goals are much the same as the lending library, and we've looked at successful programs as we've modeled this. And I also wanted to note that there's a state program launching soon that I'll talk more about in a moment. So in terms of eligibility, all Elk Grove residents 18 and older are able to apply. There's a maximum of 2 vouchers available per household, and applicants must agree to keep the e-bike for at least 1 year, take a survey when they purchase it, and then take a survey 1 year later so that we can track their impact. And applications will be available and processed on a first-come, first-served basis, but there will be a priority voucher set aside. So our proposed amounts are set into 2 tiers. The priority vouchers are for low-income households, and that's defined as a household income of 300% or less of the federal poverty level. As an example, for a family of 4, that would be an income of $93,600, and this aligns with the state program that is focused on low-income households only. So these folks would get $750 towards a standard e-bike and then $1,000 for cargo or adaptive, and all other applicants would have $500 for a standard bike and $750 for cargo. So this isn't necessarily designed to cover the entire cost of a new bike, but help to decrease that cost and make them more accessible. We are proposing to initially set aside 50% of the grant funds for those priority vouchers, and that can be combined with the state program once that is launched to further decrease the cost for low-income residents. And then for adaptive e-bikes, we wanted to make those available as well, and they're not typically available in our local bike shops, so residents interested in that can contact staff and we'll work with them on a separate process. Just a couple things about the criteria, the bikes must be new, there's no regular to electric conversions, they must come fully assembled. This lines up with the state program as well. And they must be purchased from an approved local bike shop. So we have agreements with 3 of the 4 bike shops in Elk Grove on the agenda for tonight, and we hope to bring the 4th one to you shortly. In terms of outreach, it'll be similar to the lending library. We'll work with community organizations and groups. We'll do online and in-person outreach, and we'll launch this at the same time as the lending library. The program will run until those grant funds are expended, and we've just launched this website as well, elkgrovecity.org/ebike voucher. So on both websites, people interested can sign up to get information about when the programs actually launch, which will happen soon. So just a reminder of what the recommendation is before you. And then I just wanted to give a shout out quickly to our strategic planning and innovation team, Carrie Whitlock, Ash Kumar, and Kayla Ball, who is with us as a Civic Spark Fellow right now. She's been really indispensable, and so it's been great to work with them on this program, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. All right, at this time, I will open up public comment opportunity. Nobody has signed up to speak. I'll close the public comment opportunity. Oh, I have a quick question. What is the average cost of these bikes?
That's a great question. It depends. They typically start around $1,400 and then they go up from there. Cargo bikes are usually the $2,500 range and can go up from there.
Okay, and then do you envision this grant allocation to be on a first come, first serve or more of a lottery system?
We are planning it to be first come, first serve, so we'll launch the program at one time and process the applications that come in. People will have 30 days to purchase their device, so if they don't do it in that time frame, then the funding set aside for them will go back into the pool of funding and we'll keep rotating it.
Sounds good, thank you. Are there any questions, comments?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Is the plan to have docking stations or bike racks as, you know, becomes more prevalent in the city?
I think it will. We've explored many options for bike share in the city and what will work. I think it will really depend on how the program goes, what the demand is, the sort of constraints that we have. So I really see this as an opportunity to collect data about the demand. We'll have information about the trips people are taking, where they're stopping, starting, and really use that to plan for the next steps. This is a 12-month pilot, and so I think we'll have a lot of information to see what we could do in the future based on what happens here.
Right, okay. Thank you, Kaylee, and to you and your entire team for the thoughtfulness in putting this program together. I've always been really excited about bike share, scooter share, you know, throughout the city and encouraging other modes, and just what a great opportunity to see our city from a different perspective if you're able to get out of the car. And, you know, you won't be able to shop at Nordstrom Rack or Costco, but, you know, you might be able to have a meal or just go visit friends. And so I'm really excited to see us embark on this. Again, kudos on this thoughtfulness, because as much as I'd love to see it roll out faster, this is probably a more prudent way to collect the data and then see how much usage we get out and see what residents are how they're actually utilizing these bikes. So, but I do look forward to the day where there's more of them out there. So again, I fully support this. Thank you.
Yep. Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor. So the application and the surveys, are they administered electronically to enroll into the program? So I'll start with the application part. Is that something where the public enrolls in, get on the waiting list on? Is that application electronic? Do they go to the city website? Or is there going to be a separate website that will enable people to apply for the program and to have access to these e-bikes?
Yeah, so the voucher application will be available at the website that I had, elgrovecity.org/ebike voucher. We will also have paper applications available, and we'll work with our local bike shops to make those accessible as people are coming in if they haven't heard about the program. But it will be processed online. And then the lending library as well, there will be an online reservation form where they'll, let us know what device, when they would like it, and then we'll work with them to get that scheduled.
And as over the course of the year, obviously there's a survey that you do before, a survey that you do after. Is there something intermittent that takes place over the course of the year where the person who reserves an e-bike provides feedback, like a journal that is played into the overall bigger picture? Or is it really part of that input that they provide as part of the survey?
That's a great question. So for the lending library program, we will be continuously collecting data. We'll have those GPS trackers so that we can just figure out the length of trips, locations that folks are going, sort of how they're using the devices. But it is just the pre and post survey. How do you typically get around? How did you get around after these? Do you have any concerns? That sort of thing. And then the voucher program is also the pre-post to assess their use of the device. And we're open to feedback additionally as folks have questions and ideas and comments. We really want these programs to evolve in a way that fits the city and serves the residents in the way that makes the most sense.
Yeah, no, this is exciting. And having the selection of bikes at your disposal at your discretion is really exciting. It's good to see. Because as the community is looking for ways to get around, more cleaner, this is a very smart approach. And seeing that the three shops that you're working with and executing agreements with, all of them local, all of them very reputable for bicycles, and especially for the bicycle culture in Elk Grove. Is very good to see. Excited to see how it all unfolds, because as I said, people are looking for ways to get around Elk Grove in more cleaner forms of transportation. And bicycles, even though it's a large community, it's a sprawled community. People are expressing a willingness to use bicycles for a mode of transportation, especially when you have electronic bicycles available. So this is good stuff, so thank you.
Councilmember Spies?
I guess not so many questions, but a couple of comments here. So, Mr. Jordan, about a week or two ago, we had the opportunity to sit in on the Abode project that was we were having a conversation at Sheldon Farms. I don't know if they thought of some sort of parking or sheltering for these types of bikes. And I mean, we're still in the very early stages, but perhaps that's something you could ask them if they can consider, because parking being an issue there, a concern for residents. I know that, they're still gonna be looking for ways to get around, right? And maybe that's something that could be helpful in the next however many years, okay? And then the second part, one of the challenges that we have with an apartment complex relatively close to Walmart here, just down the street from us, often residents will walk to Walmart and then they'll take grocery carts back, and the grocery carts are left. Maybe a future iteration of the program would look at difficult areas like that and partner with apartments and see if there's a way that the apartments can purchase, or we can get it at a lower price, so that the residents have the ability to travel safely and not have, if the bike originates at the apartment and goes to Walmart and then comes back, then hopefully we'll have less of that. And I'll just give a quick shout out to code enforcement for thank you to keep those carts rounded up frequently. So anyway, thank you very much.
Councilmember Robles?
Yeah, just kind of echoing the council members' comments. I think this is a really cool initiative. Thank you to staff for stepping up and going after these grants. Many cities don't do this, but we're doing this because we want to emphasize, obviously, clean electric bikes, and that's something that we're trying to do. I think a lot of us are really passionate about kind of the EV space as we can translate it to either autonomous vehicles or bikes. And I'll keep on throwing the autonomous vehicles in there. But this is a cool program. I'm excited to kind of be a part of this, and hopefully we can all race against each other soon. I'll put that out there.
That's
So-
all you.
But thank you so much, and no further comments.
Thank you. I don't have any additional comments. I personally use a lot of these devices when I travel, and it's not only convenient, but it is another mode of transportation. It's very convenient getting around town, so maybe this will make it more popular for general use, particularly as people want to visit Old Town. What a great way to get from wherever you are to a great area where there's a lot more congestion, and, sort of ease that mode of transportation. So I'm excited to see what this actually looks like. I know with other cities, and even myself in observation, the scooters, as much as I love them and use them, sometimes, particularly in the early days, they also created sort of a nuisance when you had them just sort of discarded. Now there's a lot of cities have it where you actually have dedicated spots where you have to return them, and they're not just discarded in random corners and so forth. So interested in making sure that technology is being used so that they are the scooters particularly are being stored properly and not creating greater hazards and nuisances for the city. But thank you. Looking forward to it. May I get a motion?
Yeah, move to adopt the resolution.
Second it.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, next item.
I'll take us to item 9.2 to receive the results of the National Community Survey.
Okay, good evening, Council, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Carrie Whitlock, Strategic Planning and Innovation Program Manager. So this item, I will be discussing the results from the most recent National Community Survey. The NCS is a benchmarking survey developed by the National Research Center and the International City County Management Association and provides a comprehensive picture of livability and resident perspective about local government services, policy, and management. This survey has been conducted every year in Elk Grove since 2009, so it provides us with 15 years of data now. The results of this survey are used to determine community needs, to support budget development, to measure progress, and to help improve service delivery. The survey was mailed to 6,000 randomly selected households in the city. The random sampling allows the results to be representative of residents of Elk Grove. So we received 332 responses during a 5-week period from mid-April towards the end of May in 2023, which is about a 6% response rate. In addition to this random sample survey, the city did post a link to the survey on our website, and we allowed any resident to complete that survey, and that opt-in portion was available for about 2 weeks at the end of May and resulted in 148 responses. So the results of the opt-in portion of the survey are not included in any of the data that I'm going to present tonight, so that we're not introducing any bias into the random sample, but we do have the results of that opt-in survey as part of the document and on Tableau as part of the full report. You can see those in a separate tab. So as mentioned, the survey is a benchmarking survey, and therefore there is a standard number of questions that they ask across all cities that utilize the NCS, and this allows for comparisons. So some of the data that I will present tonight, there are national comparisons because there are several hundred cities that do this survey nationally, and then there's also a custom comparison because we select to also be compared just to California cities who have done this survey. The custom questions, we also include some custom questions each year. For this 2024 survey, the custom questions focused on economic development and homelessness. So one of the key items the survey captures is community livability. So residents are asked questions that are intended to capture perspective around these 10 facets of community. The survey asks residents what areas of focus should be prioritized over the coming 2 years. You can see here the percentage of respondents who rated each of those areas as either essential or very important. Safety continues to be a top priority for our residents, as it has been for the past several years, as does economy. So one of the useful ways to look at the data is through a gap analysis. So this helps us view the difference between the importance that the community places on these various aspects in comparison to the perceived quality of that aspect. So the closer those two scores are, and therefore the smaller the gap, the more aligned those communities' priorities are with the perceived quality. So for example, the gap that you see between importance and quality for utilities is just 1% different, meaning that those are fairly well aligned. Those shown in blue here in the graph are community aspects where the quality is perceived to be higher than the importance that the community feels for that item. And those shown in orange are community aspects where the quality is perceived to be lower than the importance. And so therefore, the bigger the bar, the larger that discrepancy between the two. So before jumping right into some specific sectors and some of the questions, a broad overview shows the overall positive results from the survey. There were 119 qualitative questions that were included in both 2021 and the 2024 survey. And of these questions, 71 were statistically similar results between the two surveys. And in order for something to be considered statistically significantly different between the surveys, there needs to be 7 percentage points, either positive or negative. So you'll see in some of the graphs that I'll present some of those places where there are statistically significant differences. Overall, there were 44 questions that showed statistically significant positive results between 2021 and 24, and just 4 that showed statistically significant lower responses between those. And then additionally, as I said, the city is compared with several hundred that do this nationally and over 30 communities in California. And in those comparisons, Elk Grove ranked higher or much higher than the national or the custom benchmark in 23 questions and lower in just 3. So a few of the areas to highlight. First, residents continue to believe Elk Grove provides a positive quality of life, with those rating this area as excellent or good at 84% in the 2024 survey, which was fairly similar to what we saw in 2021. Elk Grove as a place to live also continues to receive positive responses, as does the overall image or reputation of Elk Grove, which increased from 73 to 79% between 21 and 24. Community design and affordability are also areas of continued importance for residents. 89% of respondents were pleased with their neighborhood as a place to live, and 75% with the city's overall appearance. The number of respondents who rated the overall quality of new development as excellent or good increased significantly, going from 54% in 2021 to 67% in 2024. And while the positive ratings for the variety of housing options also increased since 2021, the positive rating for availability of affordable quality housing remained the same as in 2021 at just 27%. The gap analysis identified that the mobility area has the highest gap between the importance identified by respondents, which was at 71%, and the perceived quality, which was at 49%. And so there are a number of items within mobility area that received really high marks, with a number being higher than the national or custom benchmark comparison. This includes the quality of street repair at 66% positive, quality of street lighting at 80% positive, and quality of street cleaning at 77% positive, all of which were statistically significantly higher in 2024 than they were in 2021. Areas for continued improvement include those related to ease of travel by modes other than car. So with ease of travel by public transportation decreasing from 37% in 2021 to 31% in 2024, and ease of travel by bicycle continuing to decline from 52% positive in 21 to 49% positive in 24. As mentioned, safety continues to be a priority for residents. So here, 63% of respondents reported feeling safe in their neighborhood, similar to previous surveys, and 89% reported feeling safe in the downtown commercial areas. There were significant increases in the ratings for quality of safety services, with crime prevention increasing from 65% in 2021 to 72% in 2024. Animal control increasing from 68% to 80%, and emergency preparedness from 57% to 69%. Related to the economy, 72% of respondents rated the overall economic health of the city as excellent or good, which was similar to 2 years ago. The quality of economic development also continued to increase from 33% positive in 2009 to 60% positive in 2024. And there were also statistically significant increases in the ratings for the variety of businesses and service establishments, up to 68% from 61%, and for the vibrancy of downtown commercial areas, up to 49%, which is the highest level since that question was first included in the survey more than a decade ago. There is some continued room for improvement, and Elk Grove is a place to visit, which has remained in the mid-40s and is lower than the national and custom benchmarks. So inclusivity is an area where Elk Grove continues to receive positive ratings. This area was added in the 2021 survey, so there's not as much historical data, but we continue to see improvements in scores in 2024. Elk Grove received positive marks in connection and engagement with their community, 57% positive, making all residents feel welcome at 78% positive, attracting people from diverse backgrounds at 80%, valuing and respecting residents from diverse backgrounds at 78%, and on taking care of vulnerable residents at 65%. And several of these questions saw a statistically significant increase from 2021 to 2024. And again, that's 7% difference. Additionally, Elk Grove ranked first among the 32 other California benchmark communities and fourth among 280 national benchmark communities for attracting people from diverse backgrounds. And we ranked second for California communities for both valuing and respecting residents from diverse backgrounds and for openness and acceptance of the community towards people of diverse backgrounds. Finally, in the area of governance, there has been increases in resident perceptions of the city. The rating for customer service by Elk Grove employees has continued to climb, increasing from 66% rated as excellent or good in 2009 to 82% in 2024. Welcoming resident involvement, being honest, treating all residents fairly, and treating residents with respect all saw statistically significant increases between 2021 and 2024. And the quality of services provided by the city was also saw an increase from 68% in 21 to 75% in 24. So there's a lot more detail in the actual PDF, or there's a Tableau report that you can sort of click around in and see a lot more of the full results from the survey, and those are all available on the city website. And with that, I am available for any questions.
All right, thank you. That's fascinating data. Let's see this. I'll start with any questions or comments from the right. Councilmember Robles.
Thank you so much for the presentation, and thank you for all the hard work.
Oh, sorry, yes. before I get there, I did bypass public comment, mainly because I didn't see anyone signed up. But I will formally open public comment. Nobody signed up to speak, so I will formally close it.
Excuse me, I did turn in a card.
Did you for 9.2?
Down for 9.4.
Oh, I meant 9.2.
Okay, well, we'll allow it. So it's not, but not for 9.4. Okay, so we'll remove it from that one.
I apologize.
No worries.
So because I've been involved in coming to public meetings since 2001, shortly after we became a city, I decided to do a little graft of my own. And so we have collected data on the National Citizen Survey since then. So in 2009, we had 22% response rate, 2011, 25%, 2013, 23%. I was able to get numbers of how many surveys were sent out in 2013. It's a little over 1,100. In 2015, we sent out 1,300 with a 20% response. In 2007, we sent out 2,600 with a 20% response. In 2019, 2,800, and we had a 17% response. Now, during these times, of course, our population is growing. In 2021, we sent out over 6,000, and 723 people responded, and we had 11% response rate. In 2024, we sent out almost 6,000 with 332 people responding at a 6% response rate. So I look at these numbers, and as our population has grown, I just have questions about whether people are not responding, because we had like almost 6,000 that could have responded to the survey because they're really happy with everything, or they're so discouraged in preparing to move that they just didn't bother to respond. But I have concerns when in 2009, we had a rate of 22% responding, and this year we only had a 6% response rate. Also, over the years, I've noticed less and less people coming to city council meetings, so I just decided to look at that particular one and plot it out. In 2009, we had 22% that responded to this survey were attending local meetings. In 2024, we have 14% responding that they come to local meetings, one local meeting. They didn't have to come to more than one, just one local meeting. In 2009, watching the local meetings, we had 28%. But I'm happy to report in 2024 that of the 6% that responded to the survey, 21% of them are watching meetings. So, I'm just not sure what to do with this data that we're receiving tonight from just my experience out in the community, but I can say it's the Delta breeze, the diversity within the community, and the people I know around here and continue to meet that keep encouraging me to live here. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we will close public comment and go back to Councilmember Robles.
Thank you, Ms. Wheat, for speaking. As always, you're a big part of our community, and everything you say, we take into consideration. I think, with everything with statistics and data, there's always room for improvement. Clearly, it shows that there's room for improvement for our city, and excited to be a part of that change and that growth and that development. Not so much questions, but again, thank you for the work that you've been doing and demonstrating. Like Ms. Wheat said, I hope that more people would provide responses because it allows us to give better input. Some of the things that I've heard from residents is the community engagement aspect of it. Oftentimes we see the same community members, regional stakeholders and players at several functions, but we don't see different community members. And I know that National Night Out's coming. It's gonna happen, I believe, next week or in 2 weeks. And that's gonna be a great opportunity for us to engage with community, but that's something that I would like to see more as far as what we're already doing. I know that we're doing several stuff, but I think this is something that we can also learn from, especially as we're doing the surveys and everything. So, thank you.
Councilmember Spies.
So you had, I didn't see it in the presentation, maybe you can speak to it real quick. There were custom questions that we had relative to economic development and homeless. Can you share a little bit on the homelessness in particular? Were there statistics that?
So we did ask several questions on that, and we're still putting some of the data together.
Okay.
But we do have questions that we asked. The custom questions were around to what extent, if at all, you think there's a problem, homelessness is a problem in Elk Grove compared to 1 year ago, is it better or worse? How would you rate the city's approach, and do you think we're doing better or worse than others in the region? And so we're still putting those together, but there are, from the initial, what it looks like the most, 43% said, the homelessness is either not a problem or a minor problem. So that would mean 56%.
Doing the
I
math
didn't do
backwards.
the math that fast in my head.
Right.
So we also, compared to a year ago, about evenly split between remain the same and improved together or worsened. So
Right.
there's about a 50-50 split with that. How would you rate the city's approach? We had about 33% who said it was either excellent or good. And then in your experience, how do we do compared to others? We had about almost, 58% who said we do somewhat better or much better than those in the region.
Okay. Now, do we plan on using that as a baseline in future years? We're going to ask the same questions?
So
The same custom questions?
do you want me to answer? I've discussed that with Sarah Bontrager to
Sure.
see if she would like to continue to do this, to
Okay.
see if we see trends
Right.
in this data. We have a discussion every 2 years with city manager to figure out what do we want to prioritize for our custom questions.
Okay, well, it's probably something to take back for our homelessness ad hoc committee to have that conversation with, so. Okay, thanks. So, when I was reading through the more detailed version that's in staff package, and I'll tell you, there's a lot to be proud of in that, and I always try to temper pride with humility as well. And so let me start with one of my favorite sayings is that you earn trust in teaspoons but lose trust in buckets. It takes a lot of teaspoons to build up what we have built here, and that is attributed, of course, to participation from residents, the fantastic work of staff, the city council. It is a absolute team effort. When you think about the thousands of transactions that happen every day in between staff and residents, right? Think of each one of those as a teaspoon. And when we talk about a transaction, you could be at the front reception desk, you could be at the cashier, you could be at the permits. There's thousands of, likely thousands of teaspoons every day. And when you think about that the impression of a city is based upon how you're treated, right? And the respect that we have with our residents. And so I want to thank staff first and foremost for being that delivery of teaspoons, right? Building that trust every single day. Again, whether you're stopping somebody in traffic, or you're helping somebody in the call centers, or excuse me, in the dispatch center, whatever it is, it's thousands and thousands and thousands of teaspoons that have got us to this point today. And of course, I like the numbers relative to truth and trustworthiness. I've forgotten exactly what it is, or honesty. Again, that is very, very difficult to build. And I take that with humility at the same time, and to know exactly how fragile that can be. And so I know that the rest of my council colleagues take that responsibility in the same way. Again, I can go on about that, about the results all day. I won't, but I really want to say thank you very much to Team Elk Grove and to our residents for allowing us to do what we do, and I think we're doing it pretty damn good, so.
Thank you, sir. Well said. Vice Mayor?
I'm very appreciative of the report that you shared with us tonight, Ms. Whitlock. Albeit unfortunate that only a small percentage responded after casting the net, but there's a silver lining to that because the folks who did respond to the survey, and keeping in mind of roughly 188,000 people, 188,000 various perspectives, various walks of life, and those who are very comfortable with responding to the survey, they like the current situation. They like where the city is going. They have trust in the council. And they have trust in how the conditions of Elk Grove are currently situated. With that said, the responses created in the survey give us a jump point as we engage with each other, whether it be at local events at National Night Out, whether you are at Walmart, Target, Nordstrom Rack, Smart and Final, Elk Grove Regional Park for a barbecue, any of our numerous churches, it creates a discussion. And that's the basis of community. It allows us to really have these heart-to-heart discussions and really ascertain what we want, what we need, what we deserve, not only of our elected officials, but for the services that we have as taxpayers and as citizens, whether we own or rent, whether you are in the 95624, 95757, 95758 area codes. It allows us and affords us the opportunity to have these discussions on how we can improve Elk Grove. That's a good thing. And we should all be up to that challenge because how we move forward creates the true silver linings of how we advance as a city and how we provide the maximum resources for all of us, for each other, because this is not just a panel of 5, it's a panel of 188,000. It's all of our city, and we should all take ownership in figuring out how we work through these waters and do it together and not as a silo. But thank you.
Councilmember Suen?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I also want to echo the sentiments of Councilmember Spees. You know, the staff and all the employees done a great job in creating a community on the ground, you know, doing the work on the ground to create a community. Everybody feels safe. When you look at this, 93% of our folks feel safe in their neighborhood during the day. So, you know, hats off to our PD, as well as 89% when you go into a downtown or commercial area during the day. I mean, that's fantastic. You know who should also be very happy is Republic Services. They got the highest rating, 90% for garbage collection. Everybody's happy about that. But I do, joking aside, I wanted to ask a couple questions about, you know, the data. I am curious about this response rate, 6%. What is the average response rate of these types of surveys?
So we, as Ms. Wheat pointed out, we did have higher response rates in the past, and we have talked with Polco about that. They have seen a decline in response rates across all of the communities where they do this survey. So it is not something that is unique to Elk Grove. They still are able to say, you know, we got a 95% confidence interval. So we still, even with that 6% response rate, can say we are 95% confident that this number represents, the residents of Elk Grove.
Yeah.
So it is not, a 6% response rate is, I think, lower than we would love to see, but it still gives us good data, and it is still similar to what we see in other jurisdictions.
Got it. Yeah, so statistically, that 95% confidence rate, that is
Yeah.
really the key, okay.
Yeah.
Because I was also wondering about 119 questions. I mean, asking somebody to take that time.
There were more than that. That was just the evaluative questions, because
yeah.
they're also demographic questions. So yeah, it
Right.
is a bit of a commitment.
Yeah, so that might have something to do with it right there, right?
Yeah.
And so would it be worthwhile to, would it be worthwhile to split up, let's say 120 questions, let's say round up. If you did that a quarter, now you're only having 30 questions at a time. Do you think that would spark more, return or, answering? Because you could break it up by sectors, right? For each quarter, do something different.
What we would want to do, because we can contract with Polko to actually conduct the survey, is, talk to them about other ways that we could increase the response rate. Are there ways to have a shorter survey and do it that way? Are there ways to increase the number of mailings and get a better response rate that way? So we would probably want to have conversations with them before we do the next one to think about how we might be able to get higher than 6%.
Okay, that'd be great. I'd like to hear about that. And then, also diving into the data, I mean, I love the fact that quality of life is, I think it was 84%, that residents were excited about, and they'd recommend, it was also over 80%, around 80%, they'd recommend to other residents. But what's confusing to me is, but then when they go in and they rate the quality of the services, when you break it down, those are much lower. So it's interesting, right? I mean, and I know some of this is psychology, and so that's why I'm fascinated by this, because it doesn't necessarily marry up. Did Polko explain, that divergence of data?
It's hard to understand how people respond to things, and
Yeah.
I agree with you. I'm a data nerd myself, and so every time I look at this, I find something new and interesting to sort of to figure out. But yeah, they didn't really have an idea of why people might have sort of that dichotomy on things.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, look, I think when you go around town, anybody, and it's in here in the data, and I think it's reinforced when you go around town, you ask people what they think about Elk Grove. People do find themselves happy. We obviously, Ms. Wheat was right, there's not people at these council meetings, but we know when they are here, a lot of times when they're really upset. And so they're not here, maybe that's not such a bad thing. Or they're really excited, and when the most recent thing was the zoo, everybody was excited, and so everybody was here. So just on those bare bones, type of qualitative analysis, I'd say it marries well. That part marries well with the conclusion of this data. But I'm also excited to see that some trends continuing, most of them doing better than last year. And so look forward to continuing, all of us continuing the work to move things ahead and keep these data points going in the upward direction. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, council colleagues. Great comments. Generally speaking, I think Council Member Spee said it best. There's a lot to celebrate. There's a lot to be thankful and be proud of. And I too want to, congratulate our staff for all of the hard work that you do every single day, improving the quality of life for our residents, because that's why we are all here. It is to create this wonderful city, and we're always focused on continuous improvement. This is not, it's a snapshot in time. And what's great is we see the continuous improvement. And that work continues every day with the work that we do here. So, I want to congratulate and thank everyone. Lots to celebrate. We have a great team, and people are moving here because we do enjoy a high quality of life. We know that. I don't need a data sets to tell me that. We see it every single day. And why are people moving here? It is that high quality of life. It is our schools, it is our parks, it is our roads, it's our public safety, and the amenities. And as we continue to offer more amenities, people are excited because we will be a place where you can live, work, shop, play, and invest those dollars here. And so I'm excited about what the future holds for our city, but I also know that we never stop here. We have lots to celebrate, but we keep moving forward. And we'll keep moving forward together in the best interest of our city. And that's the data I know in my heart to be true most. And that's the responses I see every single day when I'm around the city, when I talk to residents. And so it's not scientific survey, but it works for me. And all of us, when we're out and about in the communities, we get that feedback. We know, and these numbers do reflect that. And we know where we can do better. And sometimes, even in a question, sometimes to your point, Councilmember Suen, perhaps that disconnect is not fully understanding some of the questions. Because what we also know is that, on the pavement condition index, we got a score of 80. So if we're not rated right up there with, in terms of what the community might think of the conditions of roads, we know what they actually are. So I look at, all of the data that we have, not just one survey in time. It's what we're doing all together. But this is great because it gives us some feedback that I think is important, and what we do with that feedback. And I think the bottom line is, in all categories, we keep moving forward, continuous improvement, and congratulate everyone for all the hard work that you do.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. All right, well, we will move on to our next item.
That'll take us on to item 9.3, to receive information on the infrastructure plan for fleet electrification. Consider a resolution amending the budget and capital improvement program for the fleet EV charging and infrastructure project, and provide direction as needed.
So, good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council. Carrie Whitlock, Strategic Planning and Innovation Program Manager for the city. So, item I am here for now is to provide information, request consideration of a resolution on the budget, and receive any council direction on the recently completed infrastructure plan for fleet electrification. This document is intended to support the city's sustainability efforts and prepare city facilities for the transition to zero-emission vehicles. So this work is partly driven by new state requirements related to greenhouse gas emissions. So this includes AB 1279, the Climate Crisis Act, which passed in 2022. And this sets a goal for the state of being net zero in greenhouse gas emissions by 2045. And in addition to that, the California Air Resources Board adopted the Advanced Clean Cars 2 regulations in 2022. And ACC2 amends the zero-emission vehicle regulations to require an increasing percentage of new vehicles sold in the state to be zero-emission vehicles, which include battery electric, hydrogen fuel cell, electric, and plug-in hydrogen vehicles to help meet air quality and climate change emission standards. And so this includes the requirement that by 2035, all new light-duty passenger vehicles and trucks sold in California must be zero emissions. So the purpose of this plan is to provide clear, actionable guidance for electrification of the city's municipal fleet and for infrastructure to support fleet, staff, and public EV charging at city facilities. So it provides a near-term roadmap for supporting the conversion of the city's light-duty vehicles to zero emission, with a focus on the needed electrical upgrades, infrastructure installation, light-duty vehicle ideas, and policy recommendations needed to set the foundation for the longer-term transition. The plan looked at 8 city-owned facilities with a mix of fleet and public parking and undertook a 2-part analysis. First was to evaluate the city's light-duty fleet, which amounts to 196 vehicles, and the required energy needs for full electrification of those vehicles. This involved understanding the vehicle type and usage, the duty cycle, and the domicile location, along with modeling the potential replacement electric vehicle for each of those vehicles to calculate the total fleet-wide electrical demand that would be needed and the daily required electrical demand at each city facility where fleets are domiciled, where they're housed. Second was to assess the existing electrical capacity at each of the city facilities which allowed for the identification of where electrical infrastructure upgrades will be needed in order to support the EV charging needs at each of those locations. So for fleet charging, the result of the analysis is to recommend a total of 172 level 2 charging ports. So we would have 85 dual head chargers and then 14 DC fast charging ports for fleet usage. Since not all city facilities have fleet vehicles domiciled there, this list shows those facilities where we do have fleet vehicles and the number of chargers that would be recommended for those locations. So the capital expenditure cost for the fleet EV charging infrastructure is estimated at approximately $4.6 million with an annual maintenance cost of about $88,000. The capital expenditure costs are considered one-time costs for needed electrical upgrades. Several of the facilities would need additional transformers to be installed, along with the cost of the charger and the installation of those chargers. So it's also worth highlighting that in the work done for this plan, we considered the need for resiliency with the EV charging infrastructure. So many of the city fleet vehicles are mission critical and would need to be able to charge and operate even in the event of a power interruption. And so the document actually identifies backup strategies, which could include battery storage, hydrogen fuel cell, battery solar-powered chargers, mobile microgrids, or bidirectional charging. For public charging, the recommendation would be to install a total of 38 level 2 charging ports. Not every city facility is actually open to the public, so this list shows those locations where we would propose public charging be installed here. And then the capital expenditure cost for the public EV charging infrastructure is estimated at approximately $900,000 with an annual maintenance cost of about $12,000. And again, those capital expenditure costs are considered one-time costs for needed electrical upgrades at those locations, along with the cost of installing the chargers themselves. So you will note that there are not specific EV recommendations that are designated or EV chargers that are designated for city staff use. Rather, the recommended strategy is to have dual purpose chargers. So a large number of our city fleet vehicles would be in use during normal business hours and would be charging overnight. So the chargers could be utilized for city staff during the workday when they're not needed by fleet vehicles. So overall, the plan to transition the city fleet to EV is intended to be undertaken over the next dozen years or so. When the transition is fully realized, it's anticipated that it will result in a reduction of 1,200 metric tons of CO2 equivalent each year. The overall cost for the transition over that 12-year period is estimated to be modestly more than what it would cost for the replacement, operation, and maintenance of the existing gas fleet, about $2.5 million more over that time period. The purchase of EV fleet vehicles is estimated at approximately $3.4 million more over the 12-year transition period than just replacing them with gas-powered vehicles. The operating expense for an EV fleet is estimated to be about $6.2 million lower than the cost of operating the gas-powered fleet, largely due to cheaper cost for maintenance of electric vehicles and the cheaper cost for electricity for charging relative to gas prices, especially because we are in SMUD territory, which has a good EV rate. To help offset the transition costs, the city actually asked for and received a federal earmark of $1 million in fiscal year 2024. And we have also submitted a grant application through the Department of Transportation Charging and Fueling Infrastructure Grant Program for additional funding. So with the plan completed, we are looking to move into initial implementation. This would include work at City Hall and the Animal Shelter, both locations which have sufficient electrical capacity to add chargers without electrical upgrades. Additionally, the federal earmark funds will be used to design, provide electrical upgrades and charger installations at Laguna Palms campus. And these activities are expected to start in the next 6 to 12 months. And then there is a resolution for consideration to amend the fiscal year 24-25 budget and the 2024-29 capital improvement program for the federal funding as shown. And before I take questions, I did want to say that the development of this plan was actually a group effort with a significant amount of involvement from Sam Grimm from our CIP team and Doug Scott, our fleet and facilities manager. And with that, I am available for questions or council direction.
All right, thank you for that presentation. At this time, I will open up public comment opportunity. Nobody has signed up to speak. I'll close public comment. And we'll start to the left this time. Questions, comments?
Thank you, Mayor. No questions. Great presentation, great work. Look forward to implementing this plan, and we'll get to autonomous vehicles soon, Councilmember. Thank you.
Vice Mayor?
No, I have no questions. This is a good starting point, and we have, and the plan as laid out is very wise, very prudent, especially knowing how there is a rush to meet the zero emission vehicle mandates. And AB 1279 in 2022 was not an easy bill to get through the process, but it made it through the process with some tailored changes. And you mentioned a very good point with us being in SMUD territory. Being in SMUD territory insulates a lot of us as customers from what other areas throughout the state would experience through various models, because a general rate case that's filed before the Public Utilities Commission, you have to do a lot of considerations, and you have to do some wise budgeting, and you do have to take from some programs and add into others just to make the art of the possible possible. But what we have right here is a good plan, solid plan. So if the recommendation is to move this at the time right, I'd like to adopt the resolution.
Okay, that can be considered a motion. We'll continue on with any
Second.
questions. All right, we have our motion in a second. Any comments or questions?
I don't have a whole lot to add other than fantastic work. I really appreciate it. Obviously, it's an important direction to work towards.
Councilmember Robles?
Just thank you for all the hard work. I'm looking forward to seeing what the future holds. I know that going the EV way is sometimes hard, especially with complex regulation stuff coming down. I know that sometimes even as a state, we're not ready, but as we continue to move forward and progress, hopefully we'll get there, and I'm glad to see Elk Grove, our city, leading the way. So thank you.
Thank you. Great presentation. We have a motion and a second. So all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Takes us on to item 9.4, to receive information on the 2024 Climate Compass and provide direction as needed.
Okay, last item. In case you've forgotten, Carrie Whitlock, Strategic Planning and Innovation Program Manager. So for my last item tonight, this is the first of what will be 3 informational sessions we will be doing over the next couple of city council meetings to provide information and receive council input on specific potential strategies and actions related to the ongoing update to the 2019 Climate Action Plan. In this session, we'll start with providing information on the completed greenhouse gas inventory and the emissions forecast. We'll talk about a partial list of potential strategies and actions for consideration and feedback. Will be discussed over several city council meetings, starting this evening with those related to resilience and adaptation, resource consumption, and the green economy. At future city council meetings, we intend to discuss information related to building and energy and transportation separately, because those are our 2 biggest sections in terms of emissions, and so we'll dive a little bit deeper into those. We will highlight at each of these sessions a short list of potential strategies and actions that we would like to receive council input on as we further refine the update for the CAP. So the current CAP was adopted in February 2019. We've done 2 amendments to it as they've updated the California Building Standards Code. We have updated our CAP with some of those changes. With the adoption of the 2019 Climate Action Plan, the city committed to updating the CAP every 5 years to ensure that any new programs, new technologies, new emission reduction strategies can be leveraged to meet our greenhouse gas emission goals. Staff began the current update process in early 2023 and are anticipating completion and returning to council for consideration in the first half of 2025 with this. The current update, titled The Climate Compass, a plan for implementing Elk Grove's climate sustainability and resilience goals, is intended to be a CEQA qualified climate action plan, the same as the current CAP. This provides efficiencies for new development applications and reduces the time and expense of preparing project-specific analysis. In order to be CEQA qualified, the document must contain certain technical requirements, including quantifying existing and forecasted greenhouse gas emissions, establishing thresholds for greenhouse gas emissions, specifying measures and standards that would collectively achieve the target emissions levels, and including a monitoring plan. The Climate Compass is also intended to address broader climate-related issues, including adaptation, right, around how are we adjusting to the current and future impacts of climate change, around resilience, how are we ensuring our community can continue to thrive in the face of climate change, and around sustainability work. So while the state of California has a long history of addressing climate-related concerns, there's been an acceleration of actions over the past few years in this area. So going all the way back to 2005, Governor Schwarzenegger signed Executive Order S305, which set the target for greenhouse gas emissions reductions at 80% below 1990 levels by 2050. SB 32, which was passed in 2016, set a greenhouse gas emission reduction target of 40% below 1990 levels by 2030. And so the 2050 target and the 2030 target are what is included in our current 2019 Climate Action Plan. So more recently, in 2022, the state passed AB 1279, the Climate Crisis Act, which set a target of carbon neutrality or net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2045. And then the California Air Resources Board adopted an updated scoping plan in 2022 that lays out a path to achieving that carbon neutrality goal. And this includes reducing human-related greenhouse gas emissions by 85% below the 1990 level by 2045, and using carbon capture and carbon sequestration to achieve that additional 15% reduction for the net zero emissions. And carbon capture and carbon sequestration include both natural forms of carbon removal and storage, right? Increasing your number of trees, improving wetlands, or natural carbon sinks. And it includes using technology to remove atmospheric carbon and then store it underground. Also included in the scoping plan is actually an accelerated 2030 target of 48% below the 1990 levels, and that's in order to align with the trajectory needed to achieve the 85% reduction by 2045. Okay, so as mentioned, Climate Compass started with our greenhouse gas emission inventory and forecast. The quantification of existing and forecasted emissions is, as I said, a requirement under CEQA guidance to qualify for the streamlining benefits. We did both a community-wide and a local government operations LGO inventory. They were both completed using 2021 data, which was the most recent year available at the time the inventories were done. We have previous community-wide inventories from 2013 and 2005, and then previous local government operations inventories from 2019 and 2005. Excuse me. The forecast of greenhouse gas emissions was done based on two different scenarios. We have a business as usual scenario and a legislative adjusted scenario. The business as usual forecast is an unmitigated scenario where further action and measures are not enacted to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. And then the legislative adjusted scenario includes current state and federal legislation or regulations in the various sectors that will impact greenhouse gas emission reductions. The legislative adjusted forecast includes only already adopted legislation or enacted regulations and does not take into account anything that is currently under consideration but hasn't yet been enacted. So the results for the community-wide inventory show that on-road transportation, which is the big blue part of this graph, which accounts for 56.4% of our emissions, and then building energy, which is the top one in red, which was 38.3%. These two collectively account for almost 95% of all of our community-wide emissions in 2021. The other areas included in the inventory were solid waste, off-road vehicle and equipment, wastewater treatment, water supply, and agriculture, which all together account for just over 5% of all emissions. So forecasts were modeled for every 5 years between 2030 and 2050. Based on a couple of key factors, including projected population, the number of households, employment, the annual vehicle miles traveled. So as I said, with the baseline scenario, emissions were forecast to grow from 2021 levels at the same rate as those different factors grew. And so the business as usual scenario serves as really a basis to understand how emissions may change with growth over the coming decades, and then to identify how far emissions will need to be reduced in future to meet greenhouse gas reduction targets. And this graph shows the per capita emissions from the 2005, the 2013, and the 2021 inventories are all shown in blue. The business as usual forecasts for 2030 and 2040 are shown in red, and you can see they're fairly static. The legislative adjusted forecast scenario takes into consideration, as I said, adopted state and federal legislation, and there is a sharp decline in emissions for both 2030 and 2045, shown in orange as a result of those adopted legislation. The full list of various legislation that were considered as part of that scenario is included as an attachment with the staff report, but some of the ones that had the biggest impact include SB 100, which requires that 60% of all retail electricity sold in California be from renewable or zero carbon sources by 2030, and that needs to increase to 100% by 2045. There are also improvements in the building energy efficiency through the California Building Code that will see emission reductions, and then the Advanced Clean Cars 2 regulation that I mentioned earlier, which requires that 100% of new cars sold in California in 2035 be zero emission, and then there's also Advanced Clean Fleets regulations, which require medium and heavy duty trucks sold in California to be zero emissions starting in 2036, and also requires a phase in of purchasing zero emission trucks for specific priority fleet owners starting actually January 1st, 2024. So also shown on this graph are the state objectives, that 48% reduction by 2030 and the 85% reduction by 2045. Those are shown here in green. And so you can still see that there's a fairly significant gap between the per capita emissions achieved through legislative action and what is needed to reach those state objectives, particularly in the 2030 timeframe. So as noted, this session is really to provide general information on that inventory and forecast, and then focus in on potential strategies and actions in those areas outside of building and transportation. These areas may have a smaller greenhouse gas emission reduction impact, but they really help to demonstrate city leadership in addressing climate mitigation, adaptation, resilience, and sustainability. And there are also areas that will help set a strong foundation for achieving greenhouse gas emission reduction efforts across all of the sectors. The items we will discuss tonight are just a partial list and were selected as staff felt it would be beneficial to have council input prior to further refinement with these. So with any of these potential actions, further analysis will be needed to identify how they would be implemented, any costs related to implementation, and what benefits they would be for the community. So this discussion is really intended to gauge council interest in any of these items so that we can undertake that further analysis. So starting with items in the area around resilience and adaptation, proposed strategy would be to reduce exposure to extreme heat and mitigate the urban heat island effect. In our region, extreme heat is one of the primary impacts we've already started to feel as a result of climate change. And for urban and suburban areas, the urban heat island effect can increase temperatures by as much as 10 degrees. And so in order to address this, a potential action would be to establish heat mitigation measures for public spaces, including specific design features, cooling materials, and treatments such as cool pavements, cool walls, cool roofs, and increasing tree and landscaping requirements. A further potential action to address extreme heat would be to update the tree preservation and protection regulations to improve effectiveness and ensure enhancement of the tree canopy, and to update tree planting requirements for new developments to increase tree canopy coverage. Trees can help reduce the surrounding air temperature, and shade can make the air feel cooler, meaning a robust tree canopy is an important consideration in areas where extreme heat is a concern. Preserving existing mature trees is important as they absorb more carbon than newer trees. They have a larger canopy and are more drought resistant. Planting new trees is also beneficial for increasing the tree canopy and helping to ensure equity in the tree canopy coverage across the community. So natural and working lands are also an important strategy for climate action. Not only do natural lands host a wide variety of biodiversity, even within urban areas, they can also act as carbon sinks that can help sequester and store carbon. While much of Elk Grove is developed, and we'll talk in future sessions about increasing density and how that is an important emissions reduction consideration in building and transportation sectors, expanding nature-based solutions would mean that preserving our natural and more rural areas would provide a benefit for the entire community as well. So some potential actions here could include incentivizing climate-smart land management in the rural area, such as increasing tree canopy coverage, development that promotes groundwater recovery, and additional land use protections that restrict densification. Also evaluating the rural area for current and historic carbon storage, the potential for future carbon sequestration with restoration, with avoiding conversion or management of the land, and the stability of the stored carbon and the risk of carbon loss due to climate change or land use change. And then also assisting agricultural operations in developing and implementing climate change mitigation and adaptation plans, such as carbon farm plans. Resource consumption and the green economy can also both support greater sustainability efforts and help with greenhouse gas reductions through some foundational actions that would support other sectors as well. For example, the green economy could support attracting more green industry to Elk Grove, those working in renewable energy, future mobility, or sustainable technology development. One potential strategy in this area would be to promote a circular economy, and a circular economy keeps materials and products in circulation for as long as possible through sharing, reusing, repairing, refurbishing, repurposing, recycling. So undertaking a circular economy baseline assessment would be the foundation for launching further work in this area and would be key in growing the city's capacity for considering materials management in a more systemic way. Another potential action could be to partner with the Sacramento Public Library to expand their Library of Things program. They currently have a Library of Things that are only available in 4 locations, none of which are in Elk Grove. But utilizing that Library of Things is a circular economy strategy, as it really helps to increase sharing of items, particularly things which may be needed only once or only infrequently. Another strategy related to resource consumption is to reduce water use. With climate change, California will continue to experience cycles of drought, and so one potential action to mitigate this could be to mandate water efficiency standards for new construction that require water neutral development for projects expected to exceed the historic water use of a parcel, and which could be offset by installing water efficient fixtures or paying a fee to support water efficiency at existing properties in the city. A final potential strategy is around meaningful community outreach and engagement, and this is a critical approach to ensuring the success of both the Climate Compass and any of the climate actions. So one potential action in this area could be to develop a neighborhood resilience committee program across the city. Such a program would encourage the local formation of neighborhood resilience committees to increase connectedness among the community members and to provide support for that community during climate hazard events, such as checking on elderly or disabled neighbors during high heat events or power outages. Increased community connectedness is a strong indicator of resilience and a foundational action for many of the climate strategies. So I did mention at the beginning that we also did a local government emissions inventory at the same time as we did our community-wide. And so I just wanted to provide a little bit of information on that. So you can see here the local government inventory provides information on those sectors and those emissions footprint for operations and services that we provide as a city, as an organization. And so similar to the community-wide inventory, building and facilities and transportation-related sectors were the ones that accounted for approximately 96% of all of our LGO emissions. So that includes our city facilities, our street lights, and traffic signals, our employee commutes, and our fleet vehicles. And the forecast with this shows sort of a steady projected increase if we use a business as usual forecast, shown in red. The legislative adjusted forecast has some modest increases in the near term with decreases over the longer term, particularly with that transition over to electric vehicles there. And the green dots again show the emission levels that would be needed in order to reach the state objectives for 2030 and 2045. And you can also see that the legislative action again would be insufficient to achieve these levels. So this evening, we're not actually presenting any potential strategies or actions related to LGO emissions, though we are working on those, and that's in progress, and we may discuss those at a future meeting as needed. So with that, I think I am done for this evening and available for any comments.
Thank you for braving all of the presentations.
We got another item. You want to talk on that one too?
All right, thank you for another wonderful presentation. At this time, I will open up public comment opportunity. Nobody has signed up to speak. I will close public comment. And I don't know where I started last time. We started there? All right, we'll start with you. Councilmember Robles.
Thank you for that wonderful presentation. No comments as of right now, but we're looking forward to hearing from my council colleagues.
So I wish I would have started taking notes a little bit earlier in the presentation. I won't have you bring up a couple slides or the slides, but I'll just give a couple comments. I think that increasing the tree canopy is definitely something that is essentially a no-brainer. Where we can do that, I definitely think we should. In terms of expanding nature-based solutions, and preservation of open space, right? I think that for me personally, the preservation of the existing boundaries of the rural area is absolutely critical. There's lots of development that's happening to the south, lots of previous farmland, but the rural area is something that we can stake the corners of and say, not here. And so I think that is a very important part. In terms of, conducting the community outreach, and so can you come back a bit and give me a little bit more on that? Maybe like give me like specifically, what would someone do in that? You're trying to set up sort of being aware where people who are maybe in bad health.
So
Is it-
with the neighborhood resilience committees, what we would, and again, this is for direction, we haven't.
Sure, it's a
worked
conceptual,
out
yeah, it's a
all of
conceptual
the ideas
idea,
of what
right?
this would look like.
Yep.
But really, the idea is trying to incentivize local neighborhoods
Mhm.
to form their own committees and figure out how they would best structure what that would look like, how they could best support. We would provide some guidelines to say, okay, here's what help we could provide for you, and here's sort of what we would want to see, with that. But yeah, it's about how do you make sure that neighbors are connected with each other, know their others' needs, and then are able to help in times of crisis or when it's needed.
Right. Okay, good. So almost like a neighborhood watch in a way, right?
A little bit, yes.
Yeah.
But sort of more of maybe focused on the connectedness and the climate hazards more than necessarily police safety,
Sure.
crime issues.
Right.
But a
Okay.
similar idea.
Might be awareness of someone's illness and the
Mhm.
need to get to them in a climate event or something
Right.
like that. Okay, got it. Thank you very much. I appreciate the presentation.
If I can add just a little bit, Councilman Spies talked about the canopies. I actually had that written down, but I did not look at my notes before I said anything, so that's on me. It's right here. But I would like to see if we can engage more the Sac Tree Foundation. Their mission, a lot of it in South Sacramento, is to prevent some of these blacktops from continuing, the heat spots from continuing to go in. It's something that they've done in the Neighborhood Woods Committee.
Mhm.
I'm a proud member of it, so that they've done in South Sac, and that'd be something that we can do here and continue to do it. That'd be an awesome opportunity for Elk Grove.
Yeah, we have a strong, found a strong partnership with Sac Tree Foundation with our O&M team and have done a lot of tree plantings with them. And yeah, seeing that continue would be good.
Awesome.
One more quick go back here. I remembered what the first item was. A couple weeks ago, Vice Mayor and I had an opportunity to go to a nearby city where, and I don't want to disparage anybody on this one, but to a nearby city at a location where it was significantly hotter than Elk Grove. And I'm not talking about like faraway city or anything, but the heat island is real. Okay, and so tree canopy becomes important, but also, I appreciate the idea of how can we have cooler roads or cooler parking lots or whatever, because, it was, he could tell you when it's his turn, it was the difference between Earth and Mars. It was hot. So anyway.
Vice Mayor, your turn.
Councilmember Spees was definitely correct, because it literally was as easily identifiable as jumping over a line. And you could tell the extreme heat that we experienced, and even with the spray ground on, it was still very, very, very hot. You sweated the second you got out of your vehicle. And that's why looking at the strategies for cooler pavements, using those different newer technologies, tree canopies. I like the idea of expanding nature-based solutions and working especially with farms and ags and farm and ag community, looking at the operations and developing and implementing climate change mitigation and adaptation plans, thinking about carbon farm plans, and just looking at how we can do some form of carbon storage, sequestration, and looking at all of those different strategies, not only just to reduce the intensity of greenhouse gas emissions, but now that we're starting to really feel these wet winters and these hot summers, and seeing how they're really in the extreme. It really helps for us to think of strategies to help ourselves be more adaptable to the current environment, because you're never going to beat Mother Nature. Mother Nature is going to win 10 out of 10 times. But to have some sort of action plan that is sustainable over a longer period of time really, really helps. Because, Councilmember Spees and I, we just can't get over being at this event and just experiencing how that area was so hot. But when you go into an Elk Grove facility or an Elk Grove structure or a park, you don't feel as hot, especially like 4th of July. Great example. And so it was hot on the 4th of July, but you had trees around in Elk Grove Park. You were able to walk within the shade. And even though it was getting warmer and warmer, you did feel a minor bit of a delta breeze. And that delta breeze means a lot for Sacramentans, always have. But just looking at different ways to meet these demands is very important.
Were you done? Okay, I wasn't sure. It's almost like a cliffhanger there. Councilmember Suen.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I mean, Vice Mayor, mentioned, some of the catastrophes. I mean, greater turbulence, wildfires. I mean, I think all of us now see and realize the need to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions. And so, in addition to state policy and, us conforming with that, I appreciate that this effort is underway. At least for our city, we're going to do our small part. But I really like the way, as far as this plan, the Compass goes, the way that you're intentionally engaging the community, educating them, getting them, all of us to do our part, but also just as an education. A lot of folks don't live this stuff every day, even though we live with the impacts, right? We talked about these extreme weather events and turbulence and such. So I think this effort is worthy and admirable. So I look forward to seeing those more pop-ups. I know you've been doing some already, Carrie. And I also want to say I'm really happy and pleased that you're outreaching to the business community and working alongside with them. It's because, especially our home builders who are, the residential component is so big, the 38%, they're a big part of that. And so I understand, they're moving, a lot of the communities today are electrifying as we speak. So that was great to hear. And so again, that's also a testament again to all of you and our staff to make sure that we're working alongside our business community, even though we have state policies that we need to implement. And all of it is for the greater good. And then, I look forward to hearing the next phase, and they're going to come back to us with next steps. And so we look forward to continuing this process. Thank you.
All right, thank you to my colleagues again for their comments. And just to sort of recap, I think you've got some great strategies outlined here with reducing exposure to the extreme heat, mitigating the urban heat island effect. It's not fun to experience, that's for sure. The urban tree canopy, I think we are a perfect city for something like that. Expanding the nature-based solutions, not as clear on what all that would look like. I mean, I get it conceptually, but this is just a concept right now. So looking forward to see how that develops a little bit more, including the circular economy. Reducing water use, that's, I think that not only leading here with how we do those reduction measures, but coordinating with our government agencies, and then of course educating our community about that. But I think now strategy number 6 on the conducting meaningful, and the key word being meaningful, community outreach, and having that sort of diverse stakeholder group is key. And I do appreciate not just the business community, but most importantly, our environmental groups to be a part of the dialogue, not only for subject matter expertise, but also the passion in really sharing those resources and educational tools to help us meet some of these goals that we have. So again, great presentation. I look forward to seeing more. over the year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let me close out that. So we will move on to our next item.
That next item is 9.5, to consider appointment of one voting member and alternate members as required to the Historic Preservation Committee, and appointment of 3 voting members to the Youth Commission. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members. I'm Jason Lindgren, your city clerk. Back in June, we had a voting member of our Historic Preservation Committee step down, which opened up a vacancy on our voting members. The HPC has an interesting construct in which it has 5 voting members and then 2 alternate positions. When we open up the recruitment, you'll see that we had this opening for the voting member position, but we also have a sitting alternate member that could be moved up into that position. What it ultimately means is there's an opportunity for appointment not only of the voting member position, but then as that composition goes through with alternates. We ended up receiving 6 applications. I think several of the applicants are here this evening in order to speak on that appointment opportunity. As well, we also opened up in June the recruitment, as our youth commissioners often term out, as you're only a teenager for so long and our graduating seniors step down, leaving 3 vacancies on the youth commission. You have 20 applications to go through, and several of the applicants are here this evening in order to speak to that appointment process. But without further ado, unless there's any other questions, I'm done.
All right, excellent. Well, we have a number of folks from both committees that have signed up to speak. That are interested. So I will go ahead and open up the public comment opportunity at this time. And we'll start off with Peggy Forsyth Andrews, followed by Shveta Dalla. And for those who are not familiar with the public comment process, you get 3 minutes to make your presentations. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Singh Allen, Vice Mayor Brewer, and members of the council. I'm Peggy Forsyth Andrews, and I'm chair of your Historic Preservation Committee. It's been my privilege and my honor to serve on that committee for 5 years. I'm here tonight to ask you respectfully to please give serious consideration to making the alternate that is currently sitting on our committee, Rachel Simi, a voting member. For those of you that may not be as aware as others, there is a significant amount of education that takes place while on our committee, as well as there is a lot of participation so that the recommendations we make to the Planning Commission or we make to you as our city council are well thought out and are going to be in the best interests of our community. Rachel has proven over this last year through her participation, her questions, and her input to be a valuable member of our committee. And I'm sorry, I've been sitting here for 3 hours like everybody else. So, and the other thing that Rachel brings that I think is really unique and we haven't had for a time is she really brings a youthful perspective to our committee. And has recently been educated in historic preservation as well as served an internship. So that is why I'm here tonight. I hope you'll please respectfully take our consideration or our request into consideration. And thank you very much for your time.
All right, thank you. Next up is Shveta Dalla, followed by Stephen Greenhut.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Mayor, Vice Mayor, and members of the City Council, thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak here. So there are 2 reasons which really spike my interest to be a member of the committee. One of them is my background. I have a degree in architecture, a master's in urban planning, and a master's in real estate development. I feel I have the ability to understand the land use pattern, the land use distribution of the cities, and the growth pattern that goes along with it. The blend of how an old town and a new town keep the city growing and glowing. The second and the strong reason is that I grew up in a small town in India, which has its historical roots. And over the years, I have seen that become neglected. I've seen that buildings, dilapidated. And I have seen the NGOs working towards it, to preserving it. And luckily, I got a chance to be a small part of one of the restoration projects, like back years. But when I moved to Elk Grove 10 years ago, it gave me the same warmth, the similar character, and I instantly connected with the city. I have seen the city grow in last 10 years, and I corely understand the importance to preserve the character of the city while walking hand in hand with the new development, which is also essential for the city. It is important not only for us, but for our future generations, so that they feel connected to something. A history of a city also plays an important role in its growth by bringing in more people, tourism, and setting up small get-together areas in the old towns. I love being in Elk Grove, and it would be very gratifying to work towards preserving its essence and bring my knowledge and understanding to a great use here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next up is Stephen Greenhut, followed by Matthew Juma Moy.
Mayor, council members, yeah, I can't promise a youthful disposition, as the other one was saying, but my wife and I just moved from Wilton to Elk Grove to Williamson Ranch in the area of Strang houses, the mid-century modern. So it's maybe not historical by East Coast standards. We were just back in Philadelphia, but I think it's an interesting historical area for Elk Grove. And I'm a journalist, so I write a great deal about urban affairs, and I've written books about California water policy, and I've fixed up historic houses, a handful of them, here in California and Washington State. So I'm just interested. If you can use me on the commission, be happy to be there. If not, happy to help in any other way. Thank you. Yep.
Thank you. Next up is Matthew Jumamoy, followed by John Fraser.
Good evening, Mayor Singh Allen, Vice Mayor Brewer, and members of the City Council. My name is Matthew Jumamo, and I'm here today to be considered for appointment to the Elk Grove Historic Preservation Committee. As a young resident similar in age to the incorporated city itself, I've grown up with the city, seeing its rapid change as I myself have grown into a young adult. Being in Elk Grove has shaped my identity, and I've been curious to better understand how the place that shaped me came to be. In particular, I've been interested in the land use decisions that led Elk Grove to develop in the shape, pattern, and aesthetic it has today. Preceding modern Elk Grove is a long, winding story that puts together Elk Grove block by block, mile by mile, and family by family. From ranchlands of the Rancho Omochomnes Mexican Grant to the Arrival of Americans, to Stage Stop, to Railroad Town, to county planning councils, and finally to becoming an extraordinarily diverse city, Elk Grove has an intriguing story. I believe that it is important to preserve and protect the historical sites that reflect the city's story throughout its several iterations. I especially believe that this story is important to preserve within our cityscape as we become a sizable city rapidly approaching 200,000 people. I believe that as a planner, currently working with the county, and previously working on long-range plans with a local consulting firm, that I can bring a professional viewpoint, as provided in Section 700030 of the City Municipal Code, to this committee. In my current capacity, I help review plans during the plan check process of unincorporated area building permits, which is similar to the type of review that needs to occur as a part of Certificate of Appropriateness process that is a core function of this committee. Further, my college education in urban studies has allowed me to gain skills in intensive historical and social science research, which I believe can benefit this committee. Some of my work includes helping creating an extensive database on the history of the Bayview in San Francisco and researching the now newly incorporated city of Mountain House. As a former youth commissioner, former representative of Franklin High School at the Elk Grove Superintendent Student Advisory Committee, and honorary mention for the 2012 Elk Grove Volunteer of the Year Awards, I've expressed my passion to serve this community from a very young age with vision and energy. I hope to have the honor to bring that same energy to serve this community as a member of the Historic Preservation Committee. Thank you. Yield my time.
Thank you. Next up is John Frazier, followed by Kara Hughes.
Good evening, council, mayor, vice mayor, council. Thanks for giving me some time. My name is John Frazier. I'm an applicant for the vacancy on the Historic Preservation Committee. I have worked in preservation my entire career, first as a historian with California State Parks, working across the state to preserve its diverse and rich cultural heritage. Since 2019, I've been the district superintendent of the California State Parks Capital District, which includes Old Sacramento State Historic Park, Sutter's Fort State Historic Park, the California State Railroad Museum, the California State Capitol Museum, the California State Indian Museum, and the Leland Stanford Mansion State Historic Park. I am excited about the prospect of informing the continued preservation and activation of historic Elk Grove and believe strongly historic districts are best cared for when they're a part of vibrant, commercially viable spaces. I also just want to say how lucky we are. Just the quality of the applicants for this position, I think, should make us all feel really good, and want to acknowledge the alternate who's applying today. The commitment there says a lot, and so just wanted to express that I'd be willing to serve in any capacity, whether that's as an alternate or as a voting member. So thank you for the time today. Appreciate it.
Thank you, John. Next up is Kara Hughes, followed by Aiden Cho.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Kara Hughes, and I'm here to submit my candidacy for the Elk Grove Youth Commission this year. I'm a rising junior at Pleasant Grove High School, and I currently reside in both Districts 2 and 3. Coming from a separated household, I've spent my entire life growing up throughout both of my districts, which make up a large part of Elk Grove. If appointed to our Youth Commission, I plan to use my experiences living throughout both districts to bring an expanded viewpoint to the Commission. As a summer 2024 intern with the Elk Grove Civic Summer Program, and as a current intern with the Sacramento County Office of Education, I've practiced youth outreach in many ways, such as developing resources to aid local youth that are currently struggling with the current literacy crisis, and strengthening my leadership skills by leading activities and presenting to my colleagues. I've also accumulated about 90% of my community service hours by volunteering as a mentor for Pleasant Grove's STEM outreach program focused on elementary school girls, in which we aim to snap the gap between the gender gap between men and women in the STEM fields. But rather than just listing my qualifications, which include being the president of Pleasant Grove's mock trial team, I'm a student senator at my school. I volunteered at our food bank and attended many community events at the Old Town Plaza, including our annual Run for Independence each year. I'd also like to focus on what I plan to accomplish for our community if I were appointed to the commission. As a resident, I've noticed a lack in accessibility to youth programs and events, given that most are located at or near community-based buildings, most of which are located in close proximity to one another, such as the Aquatic Center, District 56, the Preserve, and soon Project Elevate. I plan to work to make youth programs and events more accessible to youth that are located in the outer regions of our city. Additionally, I feel it's worth mentioning that I have a passion for sustainability, and while connecting with youth from other high schools, I found a commonality in that most students wish their recycling and waste were better managed at their schools, and that we had access to separating our organics at school. To learn more about this, I've begun speaking with some associates in our city's Recycling and Waste Division to see how quickly we can bring this to our schools. With that being said, I thank you for your time this evening and your consideration of my appointment. I'm hopeful that I will work with you soon to improve the city that we all call home. Thank you.
Thank you. Very impressive. Aiden Cho, and then Marho Akpo.
Hello, good evening, Council. My name is Aiden Cho, and I'm here interested as a voting member of the Youth Commission. I'm 15 years old, and I'm an upcoming junior at Cosumnes Hills High School. My family and I are originally from the Bay Area and have lived in Elk Grove for over 6 years. Something that has immediately caught my eye in Elk Grove is the numerous opportunities for connection, support, and education. By collaborating with organizations around Elk Grove, such as Chicks in Crisis and Art Grove, I've had the opportunity to develop skills like discipline, critical thinking, and organization. During the school year, I enjoyed participating in in multiple after-school clubs or programs such as National Honor Society, the California Scholarship Federation, chess, and events surrounding coding and robotics. These programs help me develop leadership skills, motivate me to help the community in other ways, and build relationships. Last year, my peers and I started a nonprofit called the Byte Foundation with the intention of introducing the growing world of computer science to students in developing countries. We have already been able to help students learn code by sending virtual resources in Iraq. And we hope to continue our mission next year with help of funding and school. If selected, I hope to enhance community safety, inclusivity, and educational readiness. I envision initiatives that bring together our diverse community through cultural events, career workshops, and youth-led events promoting leadership, helping to foster a driven community. I intend to strengthen relationships with organizations that support and are run by the people. The Youth Commission allows me to use my knowledge as a student to identify and voice issues for children across Elk Grove, and I'm willing to put in the time and hard work alongside my peers to make dynamic change for Elk Grove's future, putting action to ambition. I am very grateful for the opportunity to speak here today and eager to contribute my skills to Elk Grove to help it make a better place. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to the students cheering each other on. That's beautiful. Next up is Marho Akpo, followed by Chloe Nguyen.
Good evening, Mayor and Vice Mayor and esteemed members of the City Council. My name is Mara Akwa, and I'm an 8th grade student at Harry Eddy Middle School. I'm here to express my enthusiasm towards becoming a member of the Youth Commission. I really appreciate this opportunity to explain why I consider myself the right person to represent the young people of our community. Growing up and living in Elk Grove, I've witnessed firsthand the issues that affect myself and my peers, ranging from academic pressure to underage substance abuse. As new generations rise, so do new issues affecting its youth. However, I see incredible potential in our generation. I see a passion for making a difference, a willingness to work hard, and a desire to see our city thrive. I believe that we can bring out that potential by community engagement. I'm certain there's so many more amazing young people right here in Elk Grove. They just need a push, something to get them started to unlock their full potential. Hosting more events for teens in the community, like the Path Positivity event last year, is an example of this. According to the APA, American Psychological Association, mental health is deteriorating in the youth as our generation, Gen Z, born from people 1997 through 2012, has the most people struggling with depression. Prioritizing events like this can stop poor mental health from being a reason why our youth isn't reaching their full potential. I'm a strong believer that anyone can do anything if they put their mind to it. Events like this inspire and charge up the youth, making them believe that they can do anything they put their mind to. I'm a dedicated student with a strong academic record. I'm involved in various extracurricular activities stated in my application, including volunteering and participating at all the Elk Grove Youth Commission events last year. I'm comfortable in leadership positions and I enjoy planning events. These experiences have taught me the importance of teamwork, communication, leadership, skills that I'll bring to the Youth Commission. I'm confident that my passion, experience, and commitment to serving my community makes me an ideal candidate for this position to improve the status of the youth in Elk Grove. I'm eager to work alongside you to create a bigger and brighter future for all young people in Elk Grove. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Wonderful. Chloe Nguyen and Hazel Hai.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council. My name is Chloe, and I'm honored to stand before you today to express my deep desire to serve on the Elk Grove Youth Council. I believe my passion for diversity, my drive to take action, and my commitment to creating more opportunities for our youth make me a strong candidate for this role. Elk Grove is a community rich in cultural diversity. Our unique backgrounds and perspectives are what make this city vibrant and resilient. As a young person who values inclusion, I see diversity not just as a strength, but as a fundamental aspect of our community's identity. Serving on the Youth Council would allow me to advocate for initiatives that celebrate and incorporate the diverse voices of Elk Grove's youth. By doing so, we can foster a more inclusive environment where every young person feels seen, heard, and valued. Taking action is essential in addressing the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead. I believe in power of proactive, hands-on involvement to bring about meaningful change. As the ASB treasurer of Franklin High School, I've had the privilege of working closely with my peers to manage funds responsibly and support projects that benefit our student body. This experience has taught me the importance of collaboration and accountability, and also strategic planning. On the Youth Council, I'm committed to translating these skills into tangible actions that address the needs and aspirations of Elk Grove's youth residents. Empowering youth is not just about giving us a voice today. It's about investing in the leaders of tomorrow. As the captain of my varsity women's tennis team, I have firsthand experience in fostering a supportive and tight-knit environment. Before my captaincy, the team lacked cohesion and strong relationships. Through strong leadership, I encouraged open communication, mutual support, and a sense of belonging among my teammates. This transformation not only improved our performance on the court, but also strengthened our bonds off the court. By creating such environments, we equip young people with the confidence and skills to lead and inspire others. In conclusion, I am dedicated to promoting diversity, taking decisive action, and empowering the youth of Elk Grove. Serving on the Youth Council would be an incredible opportunity to contribute to the well-being and growth of our community. I am eager to work alongside all of you to ensure that Elk Grove continues to be a place where every young person can thrive. Thank you for considering my application. I look forward to the possibility of serving and making a positive impact on our community. And I'm a fun person. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Hazel High, and then Kaya Condon? Wow. I'm sure I'll be corrected on the pronunciation. Or is it Kalia? Kalia, sorry. The L looks like an I. I need glasses. Is Hazel here? Oh, okay. Okay, so we will go on to Kalia, followed by Rachel Simi.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, and fellow citizens and staff of Elk Grove. My name is Kalia Condon, and I am an incoming sophomore at Cosumnes Oaks High School. I would be honored to serve on the Elk Grove Youth Commission. I currently serve as the newly appointed Class of 2027 president. I have various experiences that add to my character and help build who I am. I love volunteering and giving back to the community whenever I can. Such volunteer events include Light the Night Festival, Elk Grove Food Bank, and Asian Pacific Culture Fest. As a leader, I was president of my book club in the 2022 to 2023 school year, and I served as team captain for 2 years in the sport of gymnastics. This helped me understand the importance of effective communication and how to hold yourself and others accountable. Moving on to my main goal and focus. I feel one of the biggest issues affecting youth today is high schoolers who never had consistent extracurriculars, feeling lost at school, not knowing what to do with their time. This leads to students not understanding their full potential and they're capable of and could likely affect their future. To help aid this problem, I want to create a hub for all volunteer opportunities, events, scholarships, and internships that are local to Elk Grove, available in one spot to be more accessible and help students, or really anyone, be more engaged in the community. I would also target young children in elementary schools to help them explore many different hobbies and ideas and just open the door to opportunities to help them find something they're just super passionate about. If we can open the doors early and have easy, accessible opportunities, it allows students to grow as a person and understand the importance of a good education and being a well-rounded person overall and in the community. Thank you for this opportunity to speak tonight, and I hope you consider me for Youth Commission.
Thank you. Next up is Rachel Simi, followed by Tien Tran.
Okay. Good evening, Council. I'm going to try to keep this short and sweet. I'm here before you today to discuss the appointment to the voting member of the Elk Grove Historical Preservation Committee. I actually came before you guys last year for the alternate position, so it's good to see you guys all again. It's been such a rewarding experience serving on the Elk Grove Historical Preservation Committee and seeing all the progress that's being made in historic Elk Grove as well. My background is in history from CSU Monterey Bay. I've done some work with the Monterey County Historical Society on restoring old buildings as well as other items. And it's just been such a rewarding experience. And I've honestly, thank you, Peggy, for coming and speaking. Not the greatest public speaker, but it's been so great. And I really do have such a passion for history. And I've learned so much from this committee that they've welcomed me with open arms. And I know that they'll welcome the rest of the people. It's so good to see so many people applying to be a part of the committee. Elk Grove is such an amazing place and seeing it expand, and I would love to continue my work on the Preservation Committee as a voting member or as an alternate, either one. And thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you. Next up, Tien Tran, followed by Alice Hugh.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Mr. Vice Mayor, and esteemed council. My name is Tien Tran, and I'm an incoming junior at Elk Grove High School. I'm coming here today on the tail end of my time as a participant with Elk Grove Civic Summer, where you may remember me from. Through Civic Summer, I became an intern with the Elk Grove Building Department, where I learned to excel in an unfamiliar environment while gaining a better understanding of our city. And now that Civic Summer is coming to a close, I would like to continue on my civic journey to learn more about our local government while playing a bigger role in advocating for my peers and youth such as myself. I first heard about the Elk Grove Youth Commission when I was 13 years old, and at the time I felt completely inadequate to even dream about applying to be a member. Since then, I've broadened my perspective and gained new experiences and skills that I believe will benefit me if I'm given the opportunity to serve as a commissioner. I've joined the mock trial team at my school, where I bettered my public speaking skills and worked with real-life attorneys. I've volunteered in multiple public events catered to youth with special needs, and I've also led a multitude of events at my church catered for the youth. 3 years later, and here I am today before council, hoping to be given the honor of appointment to the Elk Grove Youth Commission. In my experience, many people my age seem disconnected from the world, and especially at a local level, I've seen many who feel alone and abandoned. This is something that I hope to change if given the opportunity, with more outreach programs and events that will connect us to one another. I believe that we are all connected and that our actions affect each other no matter how small they may seem, and that there's a deep interdependence between the people of Elk Grove and its governments, and we must all work together to contribute most effectively to better the city. This is something that is best taught at a young age, which makes the Elk Grove Youth Commission such a valuable asset, as it creates a window into the world of our local government while offering youth the opportunity to learn about the city and how it functions. I believe that a city is strongest when each and every part plays a role to assist the other, and that is something that we do extremely well here. As I'm still new to this world, I hope to learn as much as I can through the commission and to use that knowledge to help others my age. I would like to conclude by giving my thanks to you, Madam Mayor, Mr. Vice Mayor, and council members for your continued support of the amazing program that is the Elk Grove Youth Commission. Your efforts and investment in the youth of the city make Elk Grove amazing. Thank you for giving me and the other applicants the opportunity to speak today.
Thank you. Wow. Alice Hugh and Anushka Vyas.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council. My name is Alice Hu, and I am a rising sophomore at Franklin High School, and I would like to express my interest as becoming a member of the Youth Commission. I would just like to further introduce myself a little bit more. To give context on my background, I'm the child of 2 immigrants
who came here in the early 2000s from China to give me and my brother a better chance of having a better life. This means that I had various lessons, piano lessons, tennis practices, and endless support when I decided I wanted to become a food blogger. And from this, I've learned to take chances and stay dedicated to what I do, and always give my all to every opportunity I get. And from this, I'm ready to serve and to bring my diverse background and interesting ideas to the Elk Grove Youth Commission. And I hope to help those around me by not only creating more community engaging opportunities and programs, but to expand these programs so everyone has an equal chance to getting access to all the resources that they need. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you. Anushka Vyas, followed by Michael Jackson.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council members. My name is Anoshka, and I'm a rising sophomore at Franklin High School. I hope you would consider me to serve and represent my fellow youth on the Youth Commission, not only for my interest in learning more about Elk Grove's public policy related to youth, but also to serve as a voice for the underrepresented minorities and emphasize on the access of outstanding academic environments for each and every student in our community. Moreover, I aspire to serve on task force committees dedicated to elevating the overall well-being of our youth and city as a whole. I strongly believe in the importance of working with youth leaders and youth in our community to find ways to plan events that can create bonds and forge friendships many students may have not had much access to during the COVID-19 pandemic. This would not only make Elk Grove a much more lively, fun, and bright place to be, but can improve our youth mental health that may have been impacted from the isolation caused by the COVID-19. I also believe in the importance of education for youth in order to ensure that Elk Grove has a bright future, as well as inclusivity and the promotion of diversity. I hope my past and present experience in leading educational activities at Toby Johnson and Franklin High School, including serving as the debate club president and founder, serving on the leadership committee organizing youth events across my school, and working to creating the first Model United Nations team at my high school this year will allow you to consider me as a candidate on the Youth Commission. Dissemination of information is critical for the success of public policies, and my experience as a director, anchor, and editor of my school's news channel known as TJTV in middle school will also assist in effectively advertising our youth events, thereby increasing youth interest in attending the events the commission organizes. I hope to be able to fairly represent all of my fellow students to the best of my abilities. I will take opinions, trends, and issues from all walks of youth in Elk Grove and share them with our commission in our city. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you. All right, our final speaker is Michael Jackson.
Hello, Mayor and Vice Mayor and everybody from the council. My name is Michael Jackson. I'm an upcoming freshman, and so I have my speech here. I want to talk about just a little bit about myself, my interests, my hobbies, my family, kind of the whole shebang. But more importantly, why I would be a really good asset for the Elk Grove Youth Commission. So I've had my fair share in community service, working, serving. I love to read, write, create content for small businesses, youth, and whatnot. I would say I'm a master in the kitchen, but just all you have to do is ask me. So the thing about it, what I want to focus on actually today is the thing about writing, being involved in performing arts, cooking, making food, and things like that is you have to put things together. Not just together, but building things with in quality and care, confidence, mindfulness, empathy, and so much more. All of which I can bring to the commission's team. Putting anything together and creating something beautiful and impactful takes time, thought, dedication, and patience, but most of all, a strong vision and a sturdy foundation, all of which I am 1,000% positive I can bring to the commission's team. I'm proud to say that I am creative, smart, driven, dedicated, an amazing leader, and an even better listener. With this opportunity, I would love looking into programs centered around mental health for teens and young adults. 15.8% out of almost 200,000 people in Oak Grove suffer from mental health issues and depression. So having a program that helps teens recognize their emotions and process them early will help our generation in the future, as well as a program that is focused on finance, stability, as well as being responsible with their money and how to save and spend. Even an outreach for students and other residents to share some of their thoughts and concerns and what else they may want to see in their city. I'm an advocate and a server at heart. I will feel the requirements to go above and beyond in any aspect needed, and would love to ensure a healthy environment for the kids my age and above. Being a part of the Elk Grove Youth Commission would allow me to be someone my younger siblings look up to and let them know that they can do anything they put their minds to, as well as being a Black and brown advocate for this community here in Elk Grove to make sure that they know that they are heard and can be successful here and where they live. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope to be considered for the Elk Grove Youth Commission.
Thank you. All right, that concludes the last of our public comment speakers. Y'all never make this easy for me. Can we just really recognize the amazing youth that showed up today? Wow. I know the future is bright because we know that you will all be leading the way individually and collectively, so thank you for that. I'm going to start with the first set of appointments for the Historic Preservation Committee. And we do have, sort of a protocol and out of respect to recognize our alternates and have them move up since they've already served for some time. So out of respect and, of course, talent as well, would like to move up our current alternate, Rachel Simi, to the voting member position, which leaves the two remaining alternates. And for those, I would like to move forward Shavita Dalla, and as well as, right here, and I had received many emails and letters of support for Shavita on your dynamic background. And then John Frazier for the second alternate position also received support from others, including the chamber and my mayor from a neighboring city as well. So not to say that these are the reasons, but there was also additional community support for these candidates. So those are the three. So to move up our alternate to the voting member, and then the two alternates, that then creates the two alternate positions. So that would be Shavita Dalla and John Frazier. Are we good with that?
Yeah.
We good with that?
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a lot, you have a lot of great candidates to choose, but I don't
There's a
envy you
lot.
at all, so.
Yeah. Great talent out there, and if you weren't chosen, you can still be a part of the process and show up at those meetings as well, just like city council meetings. Now comes the really, really hard part.
Mayor, before you get to that, do you want to waive the 10 o'clock rule tonight?
Sure, you think we're gonna take that long? All right, let's do it. Let's just, yes, we're good? Yes?
Yes.
We've done it. Okay. All right, so what I had to do, not only looking at all of the amazing applicants that applied, those that reached out, those that came and spoke, those that sent in, and then an individual who sent in a lovely video as well, because they are abroad and could not physically be here. So taking into all of that consideration, and then looking at the current composition of our youth commission, where we have a high concentration in some schools. So I wanted to look at that, and then also looking at how many seniors that are currently serving.
Oh, yeah.
Because then that then creates a huge vacancy next year with a lot. So I want, so there was a lot of different things that went into looking for the right candidates to fill the three spots. And I have to tell you, it was very hard, but I looked at those various lenses to maybe narrow the pool a little bit to make my decision and our decision a little bit easier, So I'm going to first say two names that and then I'd love to hear at least for a third candidate, but the two that I definitely want to move forward because we don't have representation in these schools is Marho Akpo from Harriet Eddy. And then the other is Andres Guzman for Laguna Creek, who was not able to be here, but there was a lovely video that was sent, and of course the applications. So those are the two, first and foremost, that I want to move forward because we don't have representation there in these schools. And I'm torn on the third. I have several candidates that I am looking at. But now I'm going to ask you for some assistance for that third spot. Again, let's look at, and I'll just, for the record, just remind, I'll just read out without reading name, with names and stuff, but we have a 17-year-old from Elk Grove High School that is currently serving. We have a 16-year-old from Cosumnes Oaks, a 17-year-old from Elk Grove, a 17-year-old from Pleasant Grove, 16 from Cosumnes Oaks, 16 from Franklin, 16 from Cosumnes Oaks. So again, being that we want diversity of our schools represented, just diversity in representation all around, but schools and then also in the age groups, because what we don't want is to have 5, 6 vacancies and have some of that work continue, because a lot of it takes more than a year just to really see the benefits of your impact. So there's a number of folks that I'm looking at, but I would love to hear perhaps maybe your top 2, if you don't mind. But I'm I can share who I'm looking at, but I'd really like to hear from maybe some of my colleagues on your top 2. Just to make, so I'm not the only bad guy.
Well, I don't know that I want to make your job any easier.
It's not easier. We know that.
Well, no, but I think first thing is I don't think you can go wrong with any decision.
Yeah.
Right?
There isn't.
The applicants, you are absolutely fantastic. Mom and dads who are here waiting with your students, you're fantastic. You should be very, very proud of your youth. That I am, as a kid who grew up in Elk Grove, raised in Elk Grove, I'm thrilled to see fantastic, brilliant students coming forward. I think that our students are our gift to the world. We just need to find jobs to keep them here.
Yes.
Right.
So just maybe give me one, if you don't want to give more than one.
I'll think about one.
Okay. You want to hear others?
Yeah, let's.
We don't have to start with you.
Okay, don't start with me.
I'm not to start with me either. I'm looking at my way.
Vice Mayor, would you like to give me a name for consideration?
Before you do, I just want to add on. I mean, I just think that the presence here tonight, right, is another consideration. And so, and I agree, we can't go wrong with everyone that's spoken tonight and seeing all these applications. So I got a feeling we're going to double up. I was too looking at trying to, you're looking at all these different ways you can categorize, but you chose one, Mr. Guzman, again, being from District 1 and Laguna Creek High School. He's the only one from that, so that kind of covered two stone, or kill 2 birds with 1 stone type of thing. So anyway, I'm debating myself, so now I'm going to defer to the Vice Mayor.
If you don't, I have no problem just pulling it.
We had a lot of good candidates tonight, and I want to thank you all for being here. And I definitely be proud of your presentations. Of all we've been through at least one of these last year, and I think this year's presentations, every single candidate, so clear in their messaging that it made me very, very proud. And to see the age range of all the participants, one of the things I'm looking at is coming in and giving yourselves a couple of years to be on the Youth Commission, to really get in and do the work. Because the 3 that graduated, they had been on the Youth Commission for 3 and 4 years apiece. And that's a feat in itself. And I noticed like Andres Guzman, Taj Lewis, saw their videos, and understand why they could not be here tonight for family reasons, and definitely understand that. The presentations that I really liked, definitely Maro Akpo, 13 years old, 14. No, 13. Your presentation was amazing. The way you came up here, this is a very intimidating situation, but you showed a whole lot of courage and you knocked your presentation out the park. Very clear on being on the youth commission, why you want to be on the youth commission. Definitely concur with the mayor on that. The other two selections, very, very difficult because looking at the criteria of what all comes together in the bigger picture of things, we definitely want to have a good, strong balance of students going forward, and also based on the high schools that everyone goes to, and trying to create that balance as well. High schools, middle schools, but really wanted to make that difference. One of the students that I was looking at, and there was a lot of talented kids from Cosumnes Oaks High. And I really liked the presentation given by Michael Jackson. And I really liked the presentation given by Kara Hughes.
Yep.
So those were my two selections. Because I'm looking at the longer term of people who will be on the youth commission for a couple of years, really come in and really be strong with the current group of 7 students that we have on the youth commission. So if I were to pick my 3, it would be Kara Hughes, Mara Akpo, Michael Jackson.
Thank you. So I have I heard a yes for Kara from you, Darren.
Yeah, she impressed me right off the bat.
Okay.
But I want to also, I mean, I think Taj, you know, he can't be here, but he checks off the Monterey trails. That's, you know, that's another consideration. He's only got 1 year, so.
Yeah, that's why I was, we want some longevity. What about you, Councilmember Spies? Is there one person that sticks out?
Okay, I'll make it a little easier for you. I think Cara would be a great selection. And so, yeah, I can support.
And what say you, Councilmember Spies, or Sergio Robles, Mr. Robles?
It was changed. It's all good. I just want to say thank you to everyone. It's 10 o'clock. You guys are still here. Thank you. That shows commitment. That shows time. Thank you to the parents for being here. That shows that you're committed as well for your sons and daughters. So thank you for that. This isn't an easy task. You guys are all amazing. I was looking at all your resumes, and if I had an opportunity to offer all the interns, I would offer you all internships. Just how amazing you guys are. I have a soft spot for MUN, Model United Nations, so that is awesome. Also for speech and debate, also for the senators who are in ASB, for the treasurers who are in ASB. It sounds like a lot of them come from CO and Franklin, I'm just gonna say. But no, it's a joke, but in all seriousness, this is a tough decision. What really impressed me was Kara. You did an amazing job, just amazing the way you articulate, the way you're in, you go to different peers and you talk about hey, what's some recycling options that we can do in our school? You're thinking kind of like a council member. I actually told Councilman Spies, you better watch out because you're probably gonna run for a seat. So this is this is a tough,
my overthrow already.
tough decision to make, but we'll leave it up to you.
All right, so I think I have some consensus on the third candidate, so I would like to move forward. Marjo, Andres, and Kara for our youth commission vacancies. And I want to thank all of the applicants. You're all doing great work already, regardless of the fact that you got an appointment to the youth commission. You're doing tremendous work on your campuses. You're doing tremendous work in the community. So I want to thank you for that. And then also know that this doesn't stop you from participating in the youth commission.
Exactly.
Please go to the meetings and still lend your voice. You just don't get to have a voting voice, but your voice still matters. So please stay engaged. But I have no doubt that the future is bright because you are all leading the way, and I'm just so impressed with all of you, particularly you supporting each other as you each took turns speaking here. So thank you for showing a better way of what it's like to be supportive and collaborative and showing that diplomacy that sometimes us adults forget. So thank you so much. So those are, you have the names for both commissions.
Come
Thank
back
you.
next year for civic service, though. Summer service. You guys would all make exceptional.
And there'll be 3 more vacancies next year.
That's right, that's right.
So-
Come back, because we do like to appoint people that reapply. So with that, we will go on to our next item, which is our council reports, future agenda items. I'm just gonna go ahead and wave mine. Anybody have anything to report and share?
I'll wave
Seeing
mine.
none?
Tomorrow meeting for SAC air quality.
Okay.
Sacramento Public Library Joint Powers Authority meets at 4 p.m. tomorrow at the county offices.
All right.
Headquarters.
Well, thank you, everyone, and we will adjourn this meeting at 10:06 p.m.
Thank you.